On the most sensational, inspirational, celebrational, Keelerational, this is what we call the Keeler Show.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
It's going to be kind of a beautiful Valentine's Day. I mean, if you like temperatures around 40 degrees or so.
Yeah.
Not all that bad. Good morning. Good morning. Another day of soft target attacks, right? Just unbelievable.
It just continues. It's disgusting.
So, no matter how many laws we pass, no matter how many people you put in jail and try to make examples of, it just seems that there is this mental illness where it's okay to get into a U-Haul and drive down the streets and try to run over people and kill them, or it's okay to take a gun onto a college campus where people are innocently just going to school, taking care of their daily business, and begin firing.
Will you bear with me for a second here, because I want to make sure I'm explaining myself correctly, and if I don't use all the words, please jump in and be like, wait, what do you mean? I don't understand. There's a couple elements that I don't quite understand. In many cases, when you have these mass shootings, and we've seen this time and time again already this year and at the end of last year, the person goes in, senselessly massacres people they don't even know, have never met, people who would probably be willing to help them if they asked, hey,
if they had a problem, right?
Right.
Or if they had a mental
flat tire,
issue, right?
or any variety of issues, these people would be willing to help them. They go in, they senselessly kill these people, and then they take their own life. And I'm not advocating for anybody to take their own life, but why don't you do that first before you go murder a bunch of, right? And then the other thing is, I understand that the weapon used is a gun. And I believe that, if you're standing across the room, it's easier to shoot somebody with a gun than throw a knife at them or a ninja spear or something like that. But the emphasis is always on how do we get guns out of everybody's hands? And I just don't think it's possible to collect every single firearm in the United States except for law enforcement. So I just think there needs to be more of an emphasis on mental health. I don't understand what the motivation is, what gives people the idea that, hey, I'm bored or I'm not happy with my life before I take my own. I want to wipe out all these people. I mean, this is a college campus. It's just so disgusting. Not that it's any better if it's a bar or a restaurant or, I don't know, a senior living facility.
It seems like a mentality where when you reach a certain horrible point, you want to take people. You're going to go, but you're going to take people with you. There, take that. It's just I don't. You can't understand it. But as long as we live in a world where, we're a free society, we're always going to be vulnerable to crazy people doing horrible things. Depending on the part of the world, it's what happens. Here in this part of the world, in the United States, it seems like you get a gun, you go in and you shoot up people. Or yesterday in Brooklyn, it was a U-Haul truck driving down the side of the street, just aiming for people. In other parts of the world, it used to be a suicide bomber that would get onto an innocent bus and blow him or herself up along with everybody else. So it's just an awful, terrible part of humanity, and I don't know that no matter how many laws are passed, if we're ever going to, I don't know how that stops this, because they'll find, these crazy people will find something and some way to go in and kill people. In Michigan, it was 3 killed, 5 injured at Michigan State University. And then after an hours-long search, they found the suspect, and as you said, they committed suicide.
Why don't you just do that first? Save us all the
Good
heartache
question.
and just, I would never tell anybody to do that. But if the alternative is you go and murder all these innocent people and then take your own life, just take your own life first.
Yeah. And then in Brooklyn, it was a man who looked crazed, and he had a U-Haul truck and was driving up and down the street, going after bicyclists and motorcyclists. What seemed like the attempt was to just kill people. I don't. I just don't understand it.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, I see that it was 8 injured, but were there any deaths in New York?
2 people in critical condition as of last night. So I didn't
Okay.
see any update here this morning. But it's just it's another terrible story and another terrible day. And Mike this morning says, I see that as we collect all of the guns, we need to collect U-Haul vans as well, right? These people are intent on hurting people, so they'll find some way to do it. It just doesn't make any sense. A ton of other stuff to get here today. That story out of Barneveld, where the Amish buggy was hit, is a terrible story.
Yeah, a 2-year-old child in critical condition. Ultimately, there were 5 people traveling in the buggy. The 2-year-old, it appears to be, is in the worst condition, I guess you'll say, is in critical condition. There were others who suffered a facial laceration, a head laceration. A woman went for a leg injury, and then the operator of the buggy had non-life-threatening injuries but was also hospitalized. Again, a total of 5 hospitalized. Police have arrested Douglas Clark, a 58-year-old man from Barneveld, and they say he had a blood alcohol content, I believe, of 0.21. And also left the scene of the accident.
Because you would, I guess, and it's an awful thing, you'd leave because you don't want to get caught if
Right.
you've been drinking. That's a question mark. But on top of that, you're leaving a scene where people could die.
Right.
It's just another terrible story.
Not to pile on, but I mean, in that particular case, if you left because you were afraid that you were going to get a DWI, in a typical accident, normally those injured, if they were conscious, they could call 911. But the Amish don't carry cell phones, right?
Right.
So
right.
they're out there in the field or on the side of the road with no other way to get help unless the person involved in the accident calls to help.
Some stuff we'll get into here today. Major League Baseball has some new rules, and we spoke with Rob Manfred, commissioner of Major League Baseball, who just so happens to be a Roman, about a few of these rule changes, and he warned us that the ghost runner in extra innings, he said, is probably going to stick around, and now it's official.
Yeah, you don't like it, do you?
I don't like it. It changes the game completely.
Smitty had mentioned to me this morning, we were talking about it, and he doesn't like it either. I just see it as practical from the standpoint. Now, they don't do it in the playoffs, right? I don't think they do it in the playoffs.
I don't know the answer to that. I didn't get far enough into that story. I do know that it is in the regular season.
Yeah, so it's – I will say this, though. I think the league wants to avoid – with injuries, especially to pitchers, the nights, and it's rare, admittedly it's rare, but the games that go 19, 18 innings, you've exhausted your entire pitching rotation except for your starting pitchers. And who's watching the game when it goes till 3:30 in the morning or 2 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
It's like your audience is gone. All your players have been used, so you can't use them for the next couple of days. When you do have games, there's an increased risk of injury. I don't love it, but I understand why the league's going down this road.
And the strategy now is you got to get the ball into the outfield.
Right. Well, yeah, you got to advance the runner. You got a guy in second, so you can even drop down a bunt.
Yeah.
You can get a sac fly. You can try to move the runner along by hitting toward first base, so the guy from second can go to third. It's funny because while the league has allowed all these shifts, right, infield shifts, and is there news on the infield shift? I believe they're stopping that effective this year, that you can't
I think so.
have so many infielders on one side of second base or the other. It's like, we talk about baseball. They leave that huge gap open. There's only one defender between second and third base, yet lefties refuse to try to go the other way, or at least the vast majority of them. Where in this particular case, with the overtime rule, the extra inning rule, if you want to move the runner along, you got to try to ground the ball toward the right side of the field, or you got to hit a sac fly, or as I mentioned, the bunt. So I just think it's interesting. But right, it's not the way the game has always been played, and I understand why people don't like it. To me, it does seem feasible and more practical that Manfred continues this. I know the owners ultimately decide it, but
So they say it does give it gives home teams the extra advantage because they get the last shot at it, but it's not that big of an advantage. Home teams went 113, 103 in extra inning games last year, and are 262 and 263 in extra inning games since the runner on second rule started in 2020. According to the Elias Sports Bureau, so it's really it really doesn't give that much of an advantage to the home team.
yeah, the real advantage comes in where if you're able to stop the road team in the top of the inning, then we just got to get the guy on second inning. So you
Right,
can't just drop down a bunt and a sacrifice fly and then you win the game.
And if you're the away team, you better score because it's important to score 2, not 1, because chances are 1 is an easy run to make.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting. Let's see, what else did I want to hit on here this morning that is worth. I'll have the best and worst. They've been rated now. Super Bowl ads. We had a chance to let them sink in and have the experts rate them. We'll get into that coming up in a little bit.
So, okay, we'll get into this.
Delta Airlines had, I don't know if you saw this, but it was the scariest drop. It was a flight that was coming out of Hawaii, and apparently they were leaving during windy conditions and stormy conditions, and the flight dropped. It was just taking off, and the flight dropped and almost hit the Pacific. It took a nosedive. They said it was dropping by I think I saw 7,000. It would have been 7,000 feet per second is what it was dropping. It didn't drop quite that far because they weren't that far off the ground, but it took a nosedive. They were only 700 feet from the water.
Oh my God!
When the pilot was able to pull it back up, and the flight was able to take off, landed without incident. But that had to be a pretty darn scary moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Boy, that's incredible. Fortunately, nothing happened there. So, in a situation like that, do they go back to the airport they were leaving and settle everyone down, or
No.
it's like
they just
keep going?
They ended up landing in San Francisco. I was on a plane once. And it was one of the overseas flights, so it was one of the big planes. I don't know how far we dropped, but we hit turbulence, and it felt like my stomach came up through my throat. We dropped hard. And people went kind of up in the air. There was really no one injured, so it must not have been that bad, but it sure felt that way.
Yeah, when you're going through it, it's like the worst
scares
thing.
The living daylights out of you. You think you're not going to make it. Anyway, in this case, these pilots were both experienced pilots, and it was what is being called a terrifying situation. As it was taken off. That was actually a United flight. There's another Delta flight that involved fire. So it's the worst thing you'd ever see, I guess, if you're looking out of the plane and you see smoke and flames coming from one of the engines. I can't imagine that would be a very good thing to see.
Speaking of falling from the sky, this has become a situation like the classified documents. I can't keep track of. Was there another batch found? Was there more found? Was there another person involved?
Or is it the finding another balloon floating over
That's what I mean. Did they not shoot down something yesterday? I think something else got shot down yesterday.
I didn't see that if it did yesterday.
Maybe it was Sunday night. Maybe it must have been late Sunday night.
It was Sunday. Unless I guess it's certainly possible I could have missed it. But still, we're not able, at least we're saying we can't tell you what it is. The government doesn't know what these, especially the one over Lake Huron, they don't know what it was. However, the first one that was shot down off the coast of South Carolina, they're saying that they have collected almost all of the wreckage. So we're going to learn something about what the Chinese are doing. But the other 3, we don't know where they came from at this point. Crazy.
And they're not balloons? They're not balloons.
At this point, we don't know anything. It's just I don't know. Is this a giant distraction? Have these been flying over top of us and we haven't done anything for 2 administrations up to this point? I don't know. But it does seem like we have the ability to shoot them down despite their high elevation. Maybe we'll learn more today. Today is, of course, Valentine's Day. Davey, did you do what you got to do today?
Yeah, I did it yesterday.
Oh, you got your lady all taken care of.
Yes, sir.
You got your mojo. You got your mojo. Don Leibel is a sports writer, among other things. Don and I started working together years and years and years ago doing high school football games and baseball games. Don is a great interviewer and is able to get a hold of people and get them on the phone or in person like nobody else. He's on the line right now from his new home in Florida. Don Leibel, good morning.
Good morning, and I am a champion liar on the phone when I talk to people just to get them, so I have no scruples.
Don't let that out. Hello, this is Don Leibel calling from the Associated Press.
Well, that is my tactic, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, no, Don.
I'm sitting here with Vin Scully right now. Yes, you might have heard he's died, but not really. Yes.
I have to tell you, and I probably mentioned this to you before, being in the Southwest Florida where I live, there's quite a few big league ball players, former big league ball players living in the area here, and the toughest part is actually getting them on the phone. You could get their voicemail. For instance, one person I am relentless to get, and my time is getting very short right now, is Garrett Cole of the Yankees. He lives about 2 miles away from me. I won't say I've been stalking his house, but it's very close. I get a phone number, I leave voicemail, and I don't get an answer. So I got to do something. But it's always a challenge. And for every person that I speak to, there's 10 that don't return a phone call.
Well, I understand that. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. What the heck? Have to have a good time. But I want to tell you, this past week, and it's up on WIBX950.com now, the story I did on Mike Pagliarulo. Now, some longtime Yankee fans will remember that name. I know Phil Rizzuto, when he was broadcasting, he used to enjoy that because as a fellow Italian. I spoke to the Pags this past week because I always want to find out from people who played in the area, whether it was for the Utica Blue Sox, the Oneonta Yankees, Little Falls Mets, people that have, no matter how much success they had professionally, they always remember where they started from, and they always enjoy talking about that because not many people do. And I spoke to him this past week about his time. He began in Oneonta and spoke to him about that, which he had a lot of details. And he had some funny stories about Utica. And that was the part that really interested me.
So that was that was for those that don't remember, that was the single A short season club for the New York Yankees.
30 years. Yeah. A lot of people came through there. In fact, one of the things I really like is on the story we have a picture when Mike Pagliarulo and Don Mattingly were at Doubleday Field in 1987 for Yankees. Were playing there in the annual Hall of Fame game. And the picture's taken with them with the owner, the late owner of the Oneonta Yankees, Sam Nader, and his son. And interesting, in that picture where Don Mattingly is, when the Yankees honored him, they said he could have 5 guests. And throughout his celebrated career, one of the 5 people that Mattingly had come to Yankee Stadium was Sam Nader, because that was Mattingly's first stop in pro ball, and he really enjoyed that relationship. But it's interesting that Pagliarulo, he took one deep breath and spoke for about 20 minutes about playing in the New York Penn League and riding the buses. Now, here's a guy who played Division I baseball for University of Miami, and as he said there, we flew everywhere. I get to Oneonta, and we're taking school buses everywhere. So
think about that, right? You have all this college experience where if you go to the right college, they're taking care of you, and even more so today. And then you go into single A ball, you're playing for the New York Yankees, and you're taking a school bus or a chartered bus. Fun.
Yeah, and one interesting thing, though, when he played there in 1981, as most people will remember, that was a split season where baseball was on strike for a couple of months during the summer. So that gave a lot of attention that the minor leagues, particularly the low A, would not really be getting. I mean, George Steinbrenner was there, Yogi Berra. He remembered seeing other former Yankees come up, watching them play. So anyway, it's an interesting story. I want everybody to read it. And for next week, I thought, okay, spring training is starting tomorrow, and I thought, Aaron Judge last year, pursuing the single season American League record for the Yankee for American League, and of course it was held by Roger Maris. Well, I got in touch with Maris's son. I've spoken to him before, and he doesn't really talk to the media per se. I mean, last year, as he said, it was 2 weeks of traveling around till the record is broken. But there's always a local connection. Roger Maris Jr.'s wife is from Utica, and that's why he picks up the phone and talks to me because of that connection there.
Yeah,
so,
that's really cool.
We'll have that story coming up this coming weekend or so.
Can I ask you about the current story that you have up? He remembers not only playing in Oneonta, but he remembers playing in Utica, and he has a very interesting story about Utica. And Don, you and I remember how bad that field was. Murnane Field was awful for the longest time. The setup was bad. It was the facilities were rough. It was. It was not the greatest of facilities in the New York Penn League, but he remembers that in Utica specifically, right?
Sure. And this the clubhouse, mainly about not feeling so secure there. And if people may remember, and right field was less than 200 feet, a home run. I believe it was like 190 feet. It was certainly not professional level. I mean, they did their best if they could, but it would never be able to be used today for any kind of professional game. I heard a few years ago where people said to me, well, why doesn't the Syracuse Chiefs, when they were AAA team of Washington, why don't they play a game down in Utica, because one of their bigger investors also is involved with the brewery in Utica. Major League Baseball and the minor leagues would never allow a game to be played in Utica because of the conditions, the field, the clubhouse, and whatnot.
There's a story, a part of Don's story, and I'm not going to give it away. You got to see because he was afraid of going into the locker room, which was really like a trailer, right? If I recall.
Yeah.
It was not a stable locker room, but he was afraid to leave his belongings in the quote-unquote locker room. So it's quite interesting to hear what his solution was. And
Don's solution?
No, what the Pag's solution was.
Wow.
And he explains it to Don. It's in the story. It's up on our website at WIBX950.com, and it's really, it's a funny story that he remembers very well about Utica all these years later.
Wow.
Yeah.
Let me say this. Tomorrow spring training starts. I'm going to be at the Pirates spring training camp. Maybe we'll get a good story this week on somebody. I'm going to look over the rosters, see who has any kind of connection with Utica or the Valley, and those are the people that I will pursue. So hopefully we'll get something good.
What's your forecast look like today, Don?
It's going to be a chilly high of 75.
Oh, okay. Beautiful.
Chilly? That's chilly?
Chilly high, yeah.
I have to tell you, and we talk about this all the time, Don, and you'll remember this. In let's say late October, November, right? You get a day like today, it's partly sunny, you get some sunshine, you're looking at 43 for the high.
Yeah, we're all over it.
In November, you're like, boy, winter's coming,
Yeah.
This time of year, we're like, shorts,
put on
take
the shorts.
coat off.
Yeah. Well, Don, I mean, you were up here your whole life, so you understand it. And I imagine there are those people in where you live in Florida that are clearly New Yorkers, because they're out there even when it's chilly, and a Floridian would be like, I'm not going out in that. And we're out there, the New Yorkers are out there like, I remember in Myrtle Beach, it'd be 50 degrees and windy, and hey, we came here for spring break. I'm lying on that beach.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When the forecast is, it's going to be chilly a couple of days this week. High won't get above 68. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I'm up there in shorts. They're mainly New Yorkers. Canadians, Michigan people, Indiana. And, they run to the store still and get winter. They said winter clothes. I go, well, what do you need that for? Oh, it gets down in the 50s. That's warm. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
It's all where you're from.
Don, Michael, listening to how you're able to get a hold of some of these people, and maybe you're short on the truth just a little bit at times. He says perhaps if Don, when he makes the call, tells them he's George Santos, they might pick up the phone. Ever tried that strategy?
What's the senator from Connecticut, Blumenthal? One of these. Yes,
that's right.
No, you know what? It's just tracking people down. Bucky Dent, for instance, lives close by, and Bucky Dent always picks up the phone. It's just the way they are as people. Just a nice guy. You need a quote, Bucky Dent will pick up the phone.
Yeah.
There are Tim McCarver. If you get Tim McCarver, in my case, before 9 o'clock, he's good. After 9 o'clock, you don't get him. It's just a strategy of figuring out who do you want, what names you could use, what time of day you call. But I just have so much fun because there's so many people in the area. And for instance, I'll leave you one last thing. A fellow for the Cleveland Guardians won a Gold Glove for center field. And I read about it, and I see, he's from Bradenton. I'm in Bradenton. I looked up his phone number, gave him a call, picked up the phone number right away, and had a great conversation. It's just a roll of the dice at times.
Yeah. Well, you do a great job at it, Don. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day, and enjoy your cool weather.
Yeah, we will.
Okay. All right.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Great stuff. And you check out that story up on our website at WIBX950.com. And very interesting to see what his story is about the locker room and what he did with his belongings, because he didn't leave them in the locker room. I
got to check that out.
Kind of interesting. You can check it out up on our website at WIBX950.com. And here we are, Valentine's Day, and you might be going out to dinner tonight, doing something special. Dinners are always tough on Valentine's Day, right? Prefix menus, big crowds, trying to get everybody in, get everybody out. It's a big day for restaurants on a Tuesday night where, they normally wouldn't be doing all that business on a Tuesday. But, it's Valentine's Day, so you want it to be romantic, but there's always that one situation where somebody brings along their blank. What's the answer? Kid.
Yeah.
So an Italian restaurant in New Jersey is raising some eyebrows after they have officially banned all children, and I'm wondering how Manansky feels about this, having a child under the age of 10. They're banning all children under the age of 10. What do you think?
First of all, it's like being a little bit pregnant. If you're gonna go with it, go with it.
I guess you're right.
Yeah. So I would say if you're under the age of 15, 16, you would.
That's where you would go.
Also, is this only for Valentine's Day?
No, this is their new policy. Now, I think you're going to lose people because of that. The whole family coming out for dinner. I think that they'd be better off banning parents who don't know how to keep track of their kids. Right?
Right. The kids can stay with the parents. Gotta go.
But I'll never forget when we first had our daughter, and she was a baby. We decided our first time to go out, and we went to Simeon's. And I want to say that everybody was polite, but we left early because my daughter was going through the colicky thing, where just crying. And so everything was quiet, going all well. While we got in there, we sat down. Just as the meal was served, my daughter started crying. And not just crying, but crying. The blood-curdling cry.
Yeah.
So there we are. And at one point, I walked out. At one point, my wife walked out. Finally, we just left because nobody was saying anything, but you feel like you're interrupting everybody.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that all parents look at it that way.
Oh, I know they don't.
They just sit there and let that baby cry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For them, I think they feel like that's their getaway, that they're not stuck in the house with the kid crying, so
Hey,
at least they're out
listen,
in public.
I'm a paying customer. You're just going to have to deal with it like we do.
Absolutely. But I will tell you this. Do you think maybe that I would be opposed to this banning of children? I'm actually surprised there isn't a restaurant around here, and I'm okay with an establishment if that's your thing. go with it.
Like on a cruise ship where there's the adult section and children under a certain age are really it's usually 18 are not allowed in that section. There's always somebody that puts makeup on their little kid and be like, "No, she's 22.
She's just
22
undersized.
years old. She's a midget." Can you say that anymore? I don't know. She's a little person.
Yeah, I don't think you can say
Sorry.
that. But no, I'm to be honest with you, I'm all for it. I'm surprised that there aren't more places that do this because let's be honest. I mean, I have a young son, family, right? It's great. I love it. We'll go out, the grandparents will go and my brother and his girlfriend will go. We'll all go together and it's a cool thing. It's a good atmosphere. But there should be, because not everybody enjoys that, and sometimes you just want to get away. I'm surprised there aren't more places that say, under the age of 15, 16, children are not allowed. And and I think, really, even parents who have young children would frequent that establishment, not, for Friday night family dinner.
You may get more business because of that.
It's a nice little escape. As a matter of fact, if I was opening a restaurant, I might make it no kids allowed. And I love children.
If you've been to a resort or on a cruise and there's the pool that allows the children, man, that's just loud, right? There's no peacefulness whatsoever. But you can go off to the adult section and it's quiet. Cocktails are being brought around.
Yeah.
There's always one loud guy from New Jersey, but other than that, it's just peaceful.
This is an odd analogy, but I think at business, it's all about catering to the needs of potential clients. Like, people will say, Friday morning we play Bang the Drum. Well, wait, you guys don't play any music? No. You're a radio station, you don't play any music? No. Because the people who come to us don't want to hear music.
You're right, except for that one moment in the week.
I mean, once a week we can play a song.
And the Italian restaurant in Jersey is called Nettie's House of Spaghetti. Here are some diners giving their 2 cents on the new rule change at Nettie's House of Spaghetti. The rule change is no kids under the age of 10.
People don't care what their kids do and they just let them run around. I guess they don't want to pay for a babysitter, so they bring them with them.
When you have little kids running around, sometimes it's disruptive.
I do think that it's more than that. I mean, sometimes parents want to go out and have dinner with their children. Right. And your kids are never going to know how to behave if you don't bring them out. We used to take our kids out all the time, but they were not running around. You just wouldn't have such a thing. So, and there are some restaurants that cater to children. And I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but a Waterfront Grill on the menu. Rocky Fiato down in Herkimer, he would always have baby food on the menu.
Really?
So you could actually order like beech nut baby food. So you're ordering your steak, your scallops, and then I'll take the beech nut sweet potatoes if I could, and the plum maybe. We'll do both of them.
Look, and Rocky knows this. It's all about catering to that clientele that you want to hit.
That's right. Actually, was that for the little kids or was it for the old people? I don't know. I don't know. Some people like baby food.
Tell Grandma to take his teeth out. We've got some puree beets here.
We've got you some stuff. What else? Security camera at a gaming store in Missouri filmed a minivan as it crashed through the front window, plowed through several shelves of games. Nobody was injured. Here's the audio. That's a long crash, right? That's all the games coming down the window. Everybody okay? Yeah, everybody was okay.
Wow. Boy,
craziness,
what a financial disaster that was. How much equipment and everything else.
Yeah, think about that. We mentioned today is Valentine's Day. Whatever it is that you're doing, don't forget. I mean, that's just something to think about. The city of San Diego's upset for a man for taking it upon himself to paint rundown stairs. I like this. Mm-hmm. To me, this is a Joe Load moment. I'll never forget when Joe was always complaining about before when there was a median, as you're coming in on 5S from the east and you're coming in before you get to the OD, you've hit Oriskany Street and there was that median and the grass was just out of control.
Yeah.
One day, I'll never forget, Joe Load came in and said, I am bothered by this. Why don't they mow over there? So he got a lawnmower and he mowed it. And you know what grass looks like after it's grown to like 3 feet tall and then you mow it? It looked horrible. It almost looked better not mowed. I'll never forget that. But it got mowed. I mean, and this is a very similar situation. This guy's upset. Why don't they paint the stairs? So he's trying to do a good deed, but the city of San Diego is not pleased. Apparently, they didn't like that he didn't pull a permit before he first started sanding and painting the community stairs that led to the beach. No. Here's a member of the neighborhood defending the rogue painter, saying they didn't do it. He finally got it done.
Clearly, they want it to be a better place. Yeah, I think it's pretty nice. It's beautiful.
It saddens me because we live in a world of, unfortunately, a lot of divisiveness. And this is just something very simple, a community project that somebody wanted to freshen up, make better for the neighborhood, the community, and instead they're getting whiplashed for trying to do something right, and that breaks my heart.
I never heard it called whiplash before, but it's exactly what's happening. They're coming after him. In fact, it's believed that they are going to hunt him down and issue him a ticket. Your thoughts?
I think this is what's wrong with the world. This is just a small example of the problem that we have with government and other things. I don't know what your motivation is to try to crack down on a guy. Now, if he wants to put up a mural that promotes his business and you say, no, you got to pay for that, this is just a private citizen looking to improve the community that he lives in.
I agree.
I think it's so ridiculous. And to compound the problem, I understand there's a homeless issue in California and in San Francisco. You have people setting up tents, going to the bathroom on the streets, using drugs, discarding needles on the streets.
Yeah, nobody
talks to them.
Yeah.
But if
here's
you,
a guy
if you
trying to
look
clean
improve,
things up. Right.
That's
now,
outrageous.
I do understand you just can't have people going out and saying, hello, I'm here to paint your building. Right. I understand.
Fair enough.
I do understand. But in this unique situation, they're probably, there was a way to go about doing this. In fact, in Utica, there used to be a guy who would go. Do you remember they tried to stop him? He was he was like a groundskeeper for public parks that were being left and not taken care of. And he would use his own gas, his own chainsaw. He'd come out and he'd prune the trees and groom the trees, mow the lawns. He was not a city employee. He just did it because he wanted it to look good. Do you remember that story?
I don't.
Yeah. This was probably, I don't know, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. And at one point they tried to stop him because it was there's potential for an injury or something. It could be an insurance problem. I don't know.
Yeah.
But he ultimately was allowed to continue doing it, and he did it right up until the time where he became unable to do it, and he ultimately passed away.
But
I forget the guy's name. We did a story on him years ago. It was really pretty cool.
There's no liability for the broken glass in the playground, though, right?
Right.
No
Think about that.
there.
Today's the last day for you to put a bid on Jimmy Fallon tickets. I spoke to him overnight, and he's ready for coming in on Friday morning. And we have a pair of tickets we're auctioning off with a whole bunch of other stuff. We'll tell you all about that coming up in a second here. Jimmy Fallon in studio and at Fat Cats Comedy Club this weekend. Pretty excited. WIBX Utica Rome, it's 7 o'clock.
They're still in critical condition. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. 5 people wounded in last night's shooting spree at Michigan State University. 3 others were killed. Many more panicked.
So scary hearing all of them saying they're like underneath their bed and they're barricading their doors and like crying. They hear screaming.
Overnight, police are revealing that the suspected shooter did not have any affiliation to the university. Now, authorities also confirming that he was found dead from the self-inflicted gunshot wound off campus. His name has not yet been released to the public. We're getting reports that the Michigan State Police bomb squad is outside the home of the suspected shooter.
That's Fox's Brooke Singman. A man's in custody in New York City after driving down Brooklyn sidewalks, apparently targeting pedestrians and cyclists and scooter riders until police stopped him. 1 was killed, 8 others injured.
At this time, we have no indication that there is any terrorism involvement.
NYPD Commissioner Keyshawn Sewell, the suspect's son, says his dad had mental health issues. They keep finding people alive in the rubble 8 days after the earthquakes rocked Turkey and Syria. An 18-year-old's been rescued along with 2 brothers.
A 17-year-old and his 21-year-old brother have somehow survived some 200 hours in the rubble of a building in Kahramanmaraş. These stories becoming rarer every day. Rescue work is continuing, though, with extra resources being poured into helping those now homeless.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. The number of deaths now over 37,000. The full Senate will get a classified briefing this morning on the 3 objects blown out of the sky a week after the Chinese spy balloon was downed after it crisscrossed America.
Lawmakers on both sides had raised concerns over how information was being relayed to them, some noting that they were learning more from news reports on TV than the Biden administration directly. So the focus of today's briefing will be on the 3 objects so far unidentified that have been shot down over Alaska, Canada, and Lake Huron since Friday.
Fox's Alexandria Hoff. America's listening to Fox News.
How far will the left go to win 2024? Will they send out more stimulus checks, pass more student loan bailouts, or give away trillions more to left-wing groups? The simple truth is they don't care if your retirement is eroded down to a fraction of its value. They just want to win. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I want to encourage you to diversify your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into a physical gold IRA. And the only company I recommend for gold IRAs is conservative-owned Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898 to get their free info kit on gold IRAs. Do this now before Democrats have a chance to legislate away your life savings. Get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting PROTECT to the number 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. So use your agency. Take action now. Text the word PROTECT to the number 989898.
Well, we have a few clouds, off to a warm start this morning. We are starting here at 7:03 with a temperature of 32 degrees. WIBX News Time is 7:03. This news update is brought to you by My Carl's. Keep more presidents in your pocket. Shop the My Carl's President's Day sale. Historic deals on all in-stock furniture, all in stock with easy, no credit needed financing. Only at My Carl's, New Hartford Shopping Center, and now open in Destiny, USA. 5 members of the Amish community, including a 2-year-old child, were sent to the hospital after their horse-drawn buggy was struck by a drunk driver in Oneida County. That's according to New York State Police, who say the 2-year-old is listed in critical condition after the crash on Powell Road in the town of Trenton. Troopers say the buggy was struck by a pickup truck operated by 58-year-old Douglas Clark of Barneveld. They say Clark initially left the scene but did return afterward. He's facing several charges, including aggravated DWI with a blood alcohol content of 0.21, leaving the scene of a personal injury accident, and failure to exercise due care, among other violations. The only one seriously injured in that crash was the 2-year-old child. Utica police still searching for a suspect wanted in connection with an ongoing murder investigation, attempted murder. Officials say a warrant has been issued for 44-year-old Sonny Breton. He's accused of shooting a man on Oneida Street back on December 14th. Anyone with information is asked to call Utica police. Bill, today is the deadline for New Yorkers who've changed their political party affiliation ahead of the upcoming June primary. And they're nearly out of time to do so. If you'd like to make that change, that's because you only have until the end of the day today to submit the necessary paperwork to your local Board of Elections. The deadline to file through the DMV was yesterday, meaning that all documents must now be handed over in person. This year's primary is set for June 27th. We'll talk to a couple of members of the City of Utica political field who will be in a primary later this summer. We'll talk with Mike Galimi later this morning, running for mayor, and Bob Cardillo running for Utica mayor as well.
I think those are new rules, right? Because it used to be you had to wait a whole year in order to change your party. And now they've made it easier where you can change within just a few months of the primary.
A Grammy Award-winning country music singer will be bringing her latest tour to the area in just a few weeks. Carly Pierce set to take the stage at the Turning Stone Resort Center's Event Center in Verona on April 21st. Now no opening act has been announced for the show, which is scheduled to start at 8
Davey's
p.m.
going to open. He's such a big fan. He's opening.
Yeah, I love her. I seen her in concert at Syracuse over the last summer.
He's all about it.
Yeah.
Smitty, tickets go on sale through the box office at Turning Stone or through Ticketmaster this Friday. A Schenectady man could be spending the rest of his life behind bars after pleading guilty to a disturbing crime. The U.S. Attorney's Office says 27-year-old Michael Robbins II admitted to sending sexually explicit messages to someone he thought was a 12-year-old girl. However, that person was actually an undercover police officer. Robbins was arrested after setting up a meet with the presumed girl. He's due to be sentenced in July. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast calling for the sunshine and warmth to continue. Partly sunny today, a high reaching 43 degrees. Overnight tonight, increasing clouds, a low falling back to about 30 degrees. Mostly cloudy skies for your Wednesday to start, then becoming mostly sunny, a high of 55. Thursday, a chance of showers after 2 p.m. Otherwise, mostly cloudy, again a high in the mid to upper 50s. Coming back down a bit for Friday, rain showers early, then a chance of snow showers Friday afternoon, a high Friday of 38. Saturday, mostly sunny with a high of just 36. Right now, a few clouds around, 32 degrees. WIBX News Time, 7:07.
All right, from the IBEW Local 43 Sports Desk, I pulled up some scores here because I didn't have your stuff. Let's see. In the NHL, the Senators beat the Flames in overtime 4-3. Coyotes over the Predators 4-2 yesterday. Panthers over the Wild 2-1 in a shootout. Red Wings beat the Canucks 6-1, and the Sabres losing to the Kings by a score of 5-4. Over to the NBA. Let's see. The Knicks have won, 4 straight now. Is that right?
Heck yeah.
The New York Knicks beating the Nets 124-106. Some other NBA games. Winners, the Pelicans over the Thunder 103-100. Warriors beat the Wizards 135-126. The Lakers losing to the Trailblazers 127-115. Timberwolves over the Mavericks 124-121. And the Magic beating the Chicago Bulls by a score of 100-91. Toronto, the Utica Comets playing on the road tomorrow in Toronto. Then they return home on Saturday night to play the Syracuse Crunch. That's at the Adirondack Bank Center. Game beginning at 7 p.m. Michigan State is canceling all of its activities on campus, including all sporting events for the next 48 hours, following the deadly shooting at the school on Monday. Just terrible. The Chiefs, the Super Bowl champion Chiefs, back in Kansas City. They return Monday with a Lombardi Trophy in hand after knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles in Arizona. Wilford Brumley celebrated with the team. Is that his name? Wilford? What Brimley? Who's the oatmeal guy?
Wilford. It is Brimley. Smitty's nodding his head. Where's Andrew when I need the impersonation?
God, they look alike, don't they?
They really do.
It's unbelievable. Anyway, he's being looked upon as a brilliant coach, and Mahomes, of course, probably the best quarterback. Not probably. He's right now the best quarterback in football.
Wilford Brimley is his name. And
Wilford Brimley.
I'll never forget it.
A lot of people like oatmeal. It's just good. I don't know. That's an awful impression. But
Andrew was doing an impression.
Andrew has it down.
Wilford Brimley being the Chiefs head coach on the sidelines, and he just went into this whole thing of, if you've got to go for it on 4th down, and I just lost it. That was one of the best impressions I've ever heard.
And one more. Tonight, Syracuse takes on number 23 NC State. And, Davey, this is a very important game for the Syracuse Orange.
Yeah, because North Carolina, the Wolfpack, have 20 victories. And if they win, it'd be a big Tier 1 victory for Syracuse.
And we have a pair of tickets we've given away from yesterday. I forgot the name of our winner, but he's from Cooperstown. And he'll be going to the game tonight. Compliments of Joe Lode.
7 o'clock on the ACC network.
That's tonight. Perfect night to celebrate Valentine's with your wife in front of the ACC network watching the Syracuse game. She'll love it. And maybe she will. My wife, not so much. Okay, lots to get to. Good news, interesting news on Greeley Ford. He's taken he's retired recently with the Liquor Authority and with AT&T. Greeley is now has taken on a new gig. He just can't stop.
Yeah, I was going to say, how long is your retirement going to last? I didn't want to rain on his parade as he was saying his goodbyes, but we all know he's not going to be sitting on the sideline for long.
Great gig, though. We'll talk about it coming up in a second. Dr. Kent Hall in a few minutes. Also, Hobica's free money question of the day. Let's keep going. A couple of mayoral candidates on the Republican side for the city of Utica, Mike Galimi and Bob Cardillo, will both be on the radio coming up in a few minutes. Stand by at 7:11 at WIBX.
We invest in Herkimer and Oneida counties.
We work with the community to make things better for old and young alike.
Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come.
Every day, we put the community's long-term savings to work. Who are we? We are the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties.
FoundationHOC.org.
We're your community foundation.
Working to build a vibrant region.
Opportunity for all.
COVID is still spreading. Don't let your guard down. Anyone can get severely ill from COVID. But your risk is greater if you're over 65, if you're obese, have heart or lung disease, diabetes, or another underlying health condition. Lower your risk of serious illness, hospitalization, and death with the most up-to-date COVID vaccines, including the booster. Learn more at ny.gov/booster.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver." Unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
It's time to think about your tax refund. And Jackson Hewitt wants you to think biggest. As in, we guarantee you'll get your biggest refund or your money back plus $100. Who offers that? Come to think of it, nobody. It's one of the biggest guarantees out there and why you can't just file with anybody. For your guaranteed biggest refund, go to Jackson Hewitt today. Your wallet will thank you. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes.
It's February. You know what that means. Love is in the air. That's right. Valentine's Day is Tuesday, February 14th, and the Old Wicker Mill is your one-stop shop for all your Valentine gifts. Valentine's Day is a day to express your love. This year, give a beautiful gift of distinction that will be enjoyed for years to come. Let's think out of the box. For your little Valentine, we have a fun toy department with Nido, Cocomelon, Bluey, and Minecraft toys. Maybe your Valentine loves gardening. The Old Wicker Mill has a huge garden department. There's Beekman Bath & Body, Lolita wine glasses, touch lamps, Nora Fleming, Dr. Squatch soap, a large women's clothing department. We're your Vera Bradley headquarters, and of course we have traditional Valentine's gifts, cards, candy, and all the top jewelry brands like Pandora, Brighton, Swarovski, Ella Stein, Uno de 50, E. Newton, and so much more. So this Valentine's Day, express your love to all your Valentines with something special from the Old Wicker Mill, located in the New Hartford Shopping Center, where everything we have is fun, functional, and affordable.
Every day at NBT Bank, we focus our business around all the ways we can help yours. We're large enough to offer leading business and digital solutions, but local enough to ensure personalized one-on-one service. So turn to NBT Bank for a full range of business solutions, like capital and treasury management services, even fraud protection, and see how NBT Bank is just the right size to help you do big things. Visit nbtbank.com to learn more and start a conversation. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
They say they'll get your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money, so forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter or win. Open to U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends 4/2/23. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
Well, the official coffee of the Keeler in the Morning radio program is your Valentine's Day headquarters today. Daylight Donuts with Chuck Sedella. And you know, Valentine's Day, you can find some really nice pastry to surprise that someone special. Or maybe it's just bringing them a wonderful cup of coffee or a latte saying, you know, here's the Almond Joy Latte. I know you like these. This is for you. It's just the thought. And you can do that at Daylight Donuts. Something simple, something delicious. It's Daylight Donuts today, whether it is one of their unbelievably homemade, made on the site donuts or bagels or a coffee or a latte. Daylight Donuts with a fast drive-through, so you're in and you're on your way.
It is absolutely delicious, and if you're going through this morning, grab yourself a breakfast sandwich. You won't regret it. They're very good.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.
And by the way, also going on, they were in studio yesterday late. The Mohawk Valley chapter, the Barbershop Harmony Society, the Barbershop Quartet. They're out today and tomorrow, and they'll come in and do a singing Valentine. Let Me Call You Sweetheart. 2 sweetheart songs, personalized card, a flower, and a beautifully crafted small box of heart-shaped chocolates.
Do you think...
Or the box is heart-shaped.
The guys who joined us yesterday were outstanding, and they come in every year and they do a great job. Great group of singers. And but do you think their spouses, when they get home and they start with the "Let me call you sweetheart," the wife is like, "Don't even start." I've listened to this for 30 years.
I will tell you that I think that's exactly what happens.
Like, come up with something else. Take me to a restaurant where they don't allow kids, would you please?
It's like you know, the sweetheart of a chef is like, you're not going to cook tonight, right?
Yeah.
You know, everybody else wants him or her to cook for them. Anyway, if you'd like to take advantage, it's $45 for a singing Valentine. You could still squeeze your loved one in. Phone number by calling Matt this morning is 315-269-4122.
Something unique and different.
It is. Now, real men get tested for cancer. Tim Reed, Mohawk Valley Garden, and the Utica Comets are auctioning off a pair of Jimmy Fallon tickets at Fat Cats Comedy Club this Friday at 7 p.m. for the sold-out show. And we're auctioning them off with the bidding starting at where we are right now. We're still at $300. Today's the last day.
Yeah, $300.
And before we leave at 9 o'clock, we're going to sell them to, who's the leading bidder right now?
Carol.
$300.
$300. And Tim Reed is going to match whatever the final bid is. But let's see if we can push that up a little bit. Let's make a little more. It all goes to Real Men Get Tested, which sends out the message, it's important to get tested for cancer. And you'll receive not just the Jimmy Fallon tickets, but 4 tickets to a Utica Comets game, 4 to an upcoming Pioneers playoff game, 4 Utica City FC tickets, tickets to the Broadway Utica show My Fair Lady, a $250 gift card to Utica Fun and Food. That's a gift card. Good to the Aquavino, 72 Tavern and Grill, Taylor and the Cook, Babes, Cookies, Concessions at Nexus and the Adirondack Bank Center, and a table for 6 at any upcoming, other than this weekend, Fat Cats Comedy Club show. And as I said, Tim will match the bid.
Awesome.
Pretty excited about that.
Looking forward. Speaking of excited, can't wait for Jimmy to be here on Friday.
It's your only way to get tickets if you want them and you want in, and it's for the 7 p.m. show Friday night. Call Davey and put a bid in. Right now it's at $300, but you get all of those tickets. It could be gift. You could gift the rest of them away. You could use some, maybe not the others. It's all there. And check it out. On the line right now, Greeley Ford. He was one of the commissioners for the New York State Liquor Authority, worked with AT&T, bass player for the band Classified. There's a story up on our website where he's taken a new gig. He retired and moved to Florida. Mm-hmm. The retirement part is the part that isn't true. Hello, Greeley. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. And, hey, Bill, let me be the first to say Happy Valentine's Day to you today, because knowing you probably screwed up and haven't heard it yet.
Yes, well, I did get Valentine's Day used in a sentence, and I believe, but I didn't get Happy Valentine's Day. I think the way it went down for me was, thanks for the Valentine's Day gift. And, of course, knowing that I hadn't given anything as of yet, I kind of figured out that might have been sarcastic.
Just a tad.
Just a tad bit. So thank
Yeah.
you, Greeley. You will be the first. You are the first. Thank
you.
And happy
You're
Valentine's Day to you. So
I appreciate that.
Congratulations. I mean, all of the knowledge that you've gained over the years. Obviously, this big law firm in Florida realized, boy, this is someone we can get some great information from. And you're now have been signed on as a consultant, right?
Yes, sir. Actually, Gray Robinson Law Firm they have an alcohol beverage division that does this type of consulting work for many areas, many states. And there was a gentleman named Thomas McCain who was the general counsel for the New York State Liquor Authority for many years. He retired long before I got there, and he was the official New York State consultant for the law firm for all of those years. He retired I think it was just last year, so the seat was open. And when I announced my retirement, there was no ethical restrictions or anything like that, that kind of stuff, which I thoroughly vetted and everything. So there's no reason why I couldn't. And we met and talked about it, and it just all kind of fell into place. And the other thing was, like, I was already getting on my wife's nerves. Candace said, "Don't you have something you can do every day?"
That's right. That's
So
that. And I think about myself, and I don't know. I don't know that I when you go on vacation and you don't go anywhere, so you do the vacation, you stay home. Usually by the third or fourth day, I'm getting antsy. I mean, I gotta do something, and I think, will I ever be able to retire? And I see you in the same vein.
Well, tell you the truth, Bill, there's when you retire from 3 careers, as Candace and I did, sell the house at the last minute, as we did, move as we did, and everything else, it is absolute mayhem, and I would not suggest anyone do that ever. There are so many boxes to check. There's so many websites to go to. There's so many things that you have to take care of, from insurance, investments, retirement income, insurance, licenses, everything that you can think of in your life. Think about all the paper in your life that has to be dealt with.
Right.
So every day we had a list of things to try to tick off. So every day we try to check off 1 or 2 things, and the list is, thank God, getting shorter and shorter. But it's been quite an experience, and I wouldn't recommend doing it all at one time as we did, but that's just how life is. You can't plan everything, but it's been great all around.
Well, that's awesome. So this is a law firm that, for instance, if you're trying to open and you're having some struggles, or you're trying to maybe you've had some compliance issues and you're trying to get back on track, this is a law firm that you might hire, and you would serve as a consultant.
Correct. So
yeah.
I guess I'm there to give advice and direction on how to do certain things, how the authority might interpret what you're proposing, or your method of operation, type of business you want to operate. How does it fit within New York State ABC law? And so the idea is so that when you bring it before the authority, you won't raise questions or issues that you haven't already be prepared to deal with. So that's where my strength lies in giving advice and direction. So I have my first call, as a matter of fact, this afternoon with the first major client that I've done some research on. So I need to relay to them my opinion on what they should do and how they should move forward.
Well, listen, we just want to say congratulations, and you're already greatly missed, but it's a great way to keep life going, keep the money flowing in, too. That's always helpful.
Well, they have offices all over the place. They have me officially registered for Miami, but I noticed that they also have a office in Key West, so I'm going to see if I can get transferred there.
Yeah, I think you might have to.
Work remotely. So we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know if I get that.
Good for you. I love it. All right, Greeley, congratulations.
All right. Thanks, guys. Miss you all. Have a good day.
By the way, quick question on politics. Breaking news, Nikki Haley has announced it's official. She is running for president. What's your take there?
I think it's awesome. I think Nikki Haley is a great candidate. I love her. She was a great UN ambassador. She was a great governor, and she's a straight hitter. She knows how to make her point without insulting people. which is quite a concept these days on both sides of the aisle. So I'm really happy with her. We have a great governor down here, Governor DeSantis, who's picking up some speed. Love him to death. He's just knocking it out of the park as far as I'm concerned, but I don't want him to lose Florida either. So we'll see. I think the Republican side has a host of some real good candidates on the docket this year, and more will come, and we'll see where that all leads us.
Yes, one would say Republicans have quite the bench, and others would say Democrats are trying to find a bench these days. Very interesting.
When you have an incumbent, it's going to be hard to not renominate him. I mean, at all intents and purposes, President Biden should have been elected back in 2016, and had he run, he would have won.
Right.
So,
when you think about that,
as an incumbent, but he was I believe for whatever reason he followed the party and stepped aside. So, but he would have been president since 2016, in my opinion, had he run.
I think that's something I don't think about, but that's a very, very good point.
Yep.
And obviously, the party had their, it's this type of philosophy in politics where it's this person's turn, not your turn, and the party pushes away from public opinion, and that's what ends up happening. But
well,
Nick,
he was the first. He was the first vice president, incumbent vice president, not to run since I think Truman, the Truman administration, and back in the early '50s. So
think about that.
It was that's how you're supposed to. I mean, who didn't run? Hubert Humphrey ran for LBJ, and he lost. But and LBJ didn't run too. Come to think of it, for a second term. So it's all interesting. Politics is a funny business, Bill. I mean, we went from all of this flurry of classified documents to now balloons. There's almost as many balloons we're finding as classified documents. Isn't that funny?
It's very, very interesting.
I just made that point last hour. You're absolutely right.
Interesting how quickly the news cycle travels way high into the year.
Well, there's trillions of documents, trillions of pages of classified documents out there, like 50 million a year going into the pile. It's impossible. Just think about it, what we're asking. It's physically impossible to account for all of that. So what do you expect we're going to find?
Greeley Ford, we appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Later, guys. Have a good time.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Okay, let me keep it going here. I have Greeley. That's Greeley. Sorry. I have Dr. Kent Hall standing by on the line right now. Doc, good morning. Let me try that again. Doc, good morning.
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good. Let's start with where are we getting through the worries of winter? Yet I've at the same time I've heard stories of different medical outlets. We were actually at the doctor's office last week, and they said, boy, we just got hit tremendously with COVID. That was down in Herkimer County. Where are we currently with all of what's going on, flu, COVID, all of that?
Yeah, so as far as COVID goes, from a patient standpoint, as of yesterday, we had 30 patients in the health system with that were in the hospital with COVID. So that number's it's kind of been bouncing around right around that 30 number. So it hasn't really changed much. It's much higher than it was, say, 2 months ago when we were running more in the teens, but it hasn't gone up significantly. Unfortunately, it also hasn't gone down, which is what we were hoping to see. What I would say is that we also track how many of our employees have tested positive for COVID, and that number has been jumped up significantly right after the holidays and has stayed fairly high. It's been in the 30 mid-30s, mid to upper 30s per week. The last couple weeks, it looks like it may be trending down, so that's a good thing. But so I guess what I would say, the bottom line there is that COVID is still around and it's still a thing, and we still need to be diligent about it. Thankfully, it's not making people as sick as prior iterations have, but it is still something to be dealt with.
So I wonder if this is just in our heads, or if it is, if there's something to it. And you read about the long COVID and people after having COVID, and let's be honest, a lot of people have had COVID. But my wife and I were just talking about this the other day, and it seems that we just have congestion, the runny nose, all of that, ever since and Manaski's gone through the same thing. After having COVID, it seems like that just doesn't seem to go away. Have you heard that? Is that a symptom of people who have had the virus?
Yeah, so one of the symptoms of long COVID, I mean, we all, hear about and think about, like the brain fog and the, loss of smell and things like that stay for extended periods. But the minor symptoms, the chronic nasal congestion and, things like that, which is really an indication of kind of a low-grade inflammation within the nasal passages, is also noted to be an effect of having had COVID. So yeah, it's one that's not as reported simply because it's kind of one that you just kind of tolerate. It's like, oh, I got to keep blowing my nose or wiping my nose and stuff. But it's not. It isn't. It doesn't significantly impact like your ability to do your job or to eat food and stuff. And so it's there, yes, but it's not. It's not something that impacts people's lives as much.
And then finally, yesterday, Utica, the city of Utica, turned 191.
Really?
Yeah. It's a birthday of sorts. It was 1832, I believe, that the city of Utica was incorporated as a city. And I did a story on it and talked about how there seems to be a reinvention of what Utica is going to be in the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years. And one of those topics included the fact that there's a brand new hospital downtown. It's a big part of what Utica is going to look like and Utica's future. We're close. This is the year. Where is the hospital right now? I know we're going to be taking a tour soon, but describe to people what it looks like inside right now.
Yeah, so first of all, it's beautiful and fantastic. I mean, and you'll see that when you do the tour. So, we are still on track for a move-in mid-late October, and we're really looking forward to that. A lot of prep work is going on. So when you go in, you will see areas that are almost completely finished, and that areas that still require some significant finishing work. But the good news is that everybody is really working diligently. That we haven't had any major hiccups that are going to affect our timeline. In terms of Utica and what Utica is going to become, especially related to healthcare, I think that what is being built downtown in terms of in terms of what we're calling our clinical campus or our healthcare campus, with the Wynn Hospital being kind of the centerpiece for it, but the medical office building, what we're doing within the health system in terms of developing educational opportunities for physicians in training, for medical students, for physicians post-training, for residents. I mean, we are really transforming what healthcare from what healthcare has been, which is really primarily all about being a community hospital system, taking care of patients, to really stepping up the game and being, a leader in the Mohawk Valley region, maybe the leader in the Mohawk Valley region in terms of delivering health care across the spectrum. So we're really very enthusiastic about that.
All right. Doc, as always, we appreciate it. Have a wonderful day. We're looking forward to the tour coming up.
Thanks. Have a great day. I'm interested in hearing what you think when you see it. And please, everybody, please be safe.
All right. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Doc.
Dr. Kent Hall from MVHS. Coming up, he is the endorsed Republican candidate for mayor in Utica, Mike Galimi. We'll speak with him in a minute. And next up, we'll do our free money question of the day. Davey, looking for caller number.
Let's do caller 3.
Caller 3, third caller through the phone lines. Chance at $100 from the Hobico Law Firm. We'll do it next on WIBX.
Home and Hospital Medical Supply in the new Hartford Shopping Center proudly carries a wide selection of home medical equipment. Lift chairs to buy or rent, canes, crutches, walkers, powered scooters, braces, foot care products, and so much more. And if for some reason they don't carry the product you need, they'll custom order it at no extra charge. Mary and her experienced team are there to assist you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or call them at 315-724-6767. Home and Hospital Medical Supplies. We make life easier.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Josh, quote, "After walking around my whole life being a mouth breather, I was excited to try Navage. I read the directions carefully, pressed the button, and oh my gosh, what a sensation. So much mucus, so much crud, but oh sweet, merciful air, I can finally breathe you through my nose. Never have I ever taken such an amazing breath in my life. This is a life changer," unquote. He's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
Are you ready to make the most important decision for your child's future? Some are easy, some are not. Some make all the difference, like choosing Notre Dame schools. Offering grades pre-K through 12, your child will be ready to learn and thrive in a challenging atmosphere surrounded by great teachers and the most current technology. Notre Dame offers small class sizes, high academic standards, and spiritual fulfillment. At Notre Dame, we foster an environment of diversity and community. Students feel supported and more confident in achieving their goals. Our students learn from each other and are challenged to grow and develop their innate talents. Notre Dame is faith-based, but everyone is welcome. If you have higher expectations for your child, Notre Dame offers a higher level experience. If you're ready to launch your child's future into the most successful career path and build the next generation of leaders, call today for a tour or visit NotreDameUtica.org. Notre Dame schools, ready to learn, destined to lead.
I always wanted to learn Spanish, but I never thought I'd have the time. Then I discovered Babbel.
Babbel's lessons are fun. They only take like 10 or 15 minutes, and in 3 weeks, presto, you're starting to speak another language. Like magic.
I love that Babbel's lessons aren't just robots talking. They're voiced by native speakers, so you get the pronunciation just right. And they're designed by real language teachers, so you learn how to have real-world conversations, things you'll actually use.
It's incredible. After using Babbel, I'm ready to start having real conversations in French.
There's all kinds of ways to learn. Use Babbel's podcasts or games or videos. You can even join live classes with a language teacher.
If you want to learn a language, there's no faster, easier, better way than
Babbel.
Babbel.
Babbel. Babbel. Évidemment.
Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com. Babbel.com.
Hey, I want to tell you about the Falcon Clinic in Washington Mills. Dr. Shemaleski, Dr. Zielinski, both of them will be in on Thursday morning at 6:30 here on the show. And we'll be discussing vitamins, supplements that people take. Is it good for you? Are these helpful? Or are we all out there just wasting our money? The other topic will include ADHD. Very interesting. And also the issue of medical marijuana. It's all from this studio Thursday morning at 6:30. The Falcon Clinic, a primary care facility. If you're looking for a new family doctor, or if you're needing issues, if you have issues, whether it be aches and pains, have you had yourself tested for hepatitis C? If you're old enough where you are most likely in the baby boomer generation, if you're fatigued, you're having pain, you just can't put your finger on it, it could be hepatitis C. And you realize it's 100% curable. You can check that out at the Falcon Clinic. Dr. Shemaleski is Hep C treatment certified. Call today, schedule an appointment. They're accepting new patients. 315-507-4751. The Falcon Clinic is located in Washington Mills.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
All right, so Rob is in New York Mills, ready to take a shot at our free money question of the day here this morning from the Hobeika Law Firm, Joseph and Andrew Hobeika. For all of your legal needs, 315-724-1600, the Hobeika Law Firm. And Rob in New York Mills, good morning.
Hey, Bill.
Hey, Rob. How you doing?
Good.
Rob is a professional winner.
I think I'm over my last 10, Bill, so we got to stop saying that.
Rob was a professional winner at one point.
Back in the day.
Okay, you ready for this one?
Yeah.
Okay, this is coming from Nagel's Human Calculator category. Are you ready?
Oh, yeah.
Here it is. Utica was incorporated as a city on February 13th, 1832. What day of the week was that? Ready, go.
That was a Wednesday.
Was it it's kind of like a 1 in 5 chance. Was it a Wednesday?
Well, you narrowed it down. When you said 1 in 5 chance, makes me think it was a Monday through Friday, but that seems like a Saturday or Sunday type
You
of...
wouldn't incorporate on a Saturday or Sunday. No, even back then. They'd be like, and as a matter of fact, back then, it would be sacrilegious to do anything on a Sunday.
That's true.
Right?
That's true.
Rob, yesterday, February 13th, 2023, was the 191st anniversary. That was a Monday. Just so happens that February 13th, 1832 was also a Monday. Yeah. Well, what are you going to do, right? The hell are you going to do?
I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I mean, you're 0 for 11.
Take your gift card and buy yourself lunch.
Yeah.
You won't feel that bad.
And we do have the gift card. It's the all-in-one food and fun gift card. It's $25 at Aquavino, at Taylor and the Cook, Babes, 72 Tavern and Grill, the Adirondack Bank, concession stands, also Nexus, even at some of their gift shops as well. And then, Rob, I'll hook you up with a table for 6 at Fat Cats Comedy Club. You pick your show, anything but this weekend. Davey's going to take care of you and hook you up. So you win even when you lose, right?
Yeah, I win when I lose.
Not a bad thing.
No.
Okay, Rob, stand by. Davey's going to take care of you. Thank you, man. I oftentimes talk about, I don't know what it was, we were giving away concert tickets or something, and Rob, this is many years ago, it was, what are you willing to do for blank tickets? And I forgot what the show was. But he said, I'm going to come in the studio, and I'm taking a big onion, and I'm going to eat the whole thing like I would an apple. And he did. And the tears were rolling down his eyes and ours as well. Because
how about your eyes? Yeah,
it's terrible. Yeah. But he's a man of his word. I think he was winning for maybe somebody else, if I recall. I don't remember. Anyway, here we are at 7:44. It's Valentine's Day. Have you done your due diligence?
I have, actually.
Okay.
It's funny you said eating the onion for somebody else. It immediately made me think of Valentine's Day.
It did.
What would you do for the person you love?
How far would you be willing to go? You're right. That's a good point. And, you'd go to the earth, the end of the earth, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay, congratulations, Mike Galimi. You are the now endorsed candidate for the Republican primary, Utica mayor. Congratulations.
Thank you.
What does that mean for you?
It's just more solidarity
Yeah,
across the
okay.
party, and now I
Right.
can move forward with some better confidence. I was confident before, but now I'm coming out of the gate, right?
Okay, coming out of the gate.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that and talk about budget coming up in a second here. But I do want to ask you, your opponent, Bob Cardillo, was asked, and we learned this yesterday, was asked that if he does not win the primary, will he step out of the race? And I believe the answer that we were told his answer was, and Bob's going to be on to speak for himself coming up in a few minutes, but the answer was that he couldn't say that at this time. What are your thoughts as a mayoral candidate, not necessarily the endorsed candidate, but as a mayoral candidate and the president of the Common Council, et cetera? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, at the tail end of the endorsement meeting, last Saturday, a couple Saturdays ago, after I had been given the endorsement and the nomination, I did address, and I'm only talking about the contents of this meeting because Bob Cardillo has been bringing up the contents of the meeting since the meeting on the air. And I committed to the fact that if I was to lose a primary, I would get out of the race.
Okay.
If you lose your major line, then you have to work with the committee that has endorsed you, and that's my commitment.
What about, though, if you're endorsed by the Conservative Party, or if you're endorsed by another party, another third-party line, do you owe an obligation to them?
I would actually speak to the other parties that were endorsed, right?
Mm-hmm.
At this time, ever since Governor Cuomo changed how election law kind of worked, granted he was the governor, not the legislative body, but under his direction and his authority, it was changed. The party lines now can be withdrawn and reassigned. So I look at it like this. We are doing something for the city, right? We're all running for a reason. And if the people we have in the room have those principles and we want to have the city operate the way we want it to operate for the people under those principles, if I lose that primary, I have to support those principles. And if I'm not the candidate, I'm not the candidate.
Okay. I want to ask you, last week, I believe, Cardillo put out he's very active with the releases. Each week we're getting, it seems, a different release, and on what he would do as he makes his attempt to communicate with the public. But the one topic was that he will not, he'll be a full-time mayor. And I do think that was, because in his release, he called on you to make that same commitment.
Well, he actually called on me to sign an affidavit.
Yes.
Which was notarized by James Zecca and post-dated to the day after. And when I read through the affidavit, it would even bar me from playing my saxophone at the Stanley with Rick Zaccaro. It would bar Bob Cardillo from owning a two-family house if he lived in a two-family house and was collecting rent from a different floor. And then the next day when it was presented to me on the radio, it was backdated to the day before. So I don't know what they were doing, but if that's any sign of how they want to run City Hall,
so you're saying
please consider Galimi 23, and then we can talk about the fact that I'm also, just like everyone else, if you're going to commit to that role, committing full time to the salaried position of mayor. Absolutely,
you are committed to that.
Absolutely,
and
I'm not signing
wait a minute.
an affidavit.
I want to go back though. I'd like to
Yeah.
go back to the affidavit. You're saying that the signed
It was on the
affidavit.
news. Yep.
The date was changed.
So when it was on the news on the 6th, when they had their press conference,
Yeah.
they were on the news holding it, and it said February 7th, notarized.
Was it sealed? Notarized.
It was notarized.
Okay.
Like notary stamped. The whole thing. And the one they presented to me didn't have my correct address on it. And then the next day, I was on a different
Did it have
station.
you like living in New York Mills or something? That'd be
No,
kinda
it
fun.
didn't. But that would have
Look,
been
he
fun.
doesn't even live here.
Yeah. You're like, no. Everyone who knows I have to walk my dog in the morning knows I live here. But no, it's just it was just absurd. And then the next day when I was handed the thing to sign, mine didn't have the correct address on it. And when they handed me the one that they had on the news the day prior, it then said the 6th. Now, I'm sure that at the end of the day, before midnight, and it turned to the 7th, maybe they corrected it. But it was just very stunt-like.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, obviously, if you're being presented, I do want to ask
Yeah.
further, though. What do you do for a living for people to know?
Mhm.
And what conversation have you had with your employer? Because if you take this job, do you leave that job? Do you change your duties? Does everything stay the same?
Everything does not stay the same.
Okay.
So what I do right now for a living, so for the past 20-some-odd years, I've been an engineering project manager. I've been an architect of projects. I have different patents, etc. So I've been in the tech field, hardware and software engineering, and personnel management, okay? So it's not just orchestrating the project, it's the people that build the project, right? Last March, I took a different position. It's on the commercial side of the business. So now what I do is I work with, and I'm public-facing with companies and potential customers and our salespeople to do sales engagement, business development, etc. and it's for an industry solutions team in the finance and capital markets sector. Now, that means every single product Keysight, that's the company I work for, every single product that Keysight markets, develops, and sells needs to be fit into the finance and capital markets center. Every sector has a different personality. You know, it's very interesting how these things fit into different markets. And it's my role to work with the markets, work with the people, work with the salespeople to figure out how to engage, how products can be fit better into those systems that they're solutions for, and then also help drive the roadmaps. What do we need to do in the future? What do we need to do to stay competitive? You know, it's a lot of different things actually that tie right into the office of mayor and how you would drive the city.
Okay. I'm completely confused, but it sounds like a lot of work that has to be done. How do you just give that up?
Do you give that up? And what is if elected, what does your job look like after that?
If I'm elected, what my job looks like is, it's potential, you know, I might have to take a leave of absence, for example. And you asked about the conversation with my employer, because that's the big question. Everyone's been walking around for 3 months saying Mike Galimi is going to be a part-time mayor. Absolutely not. Okay, I'm 43. I have 2 kids, a wife. I've said this before. I'm not waiting till I'm retired to be mayor. I'm not waiting till I have nothing better to do. I'm not waiting till I have a pension coming in to run for mayor. I want to actually make the contribution now to the city, so I've organized my life around that. I had to do that in 2015. I had to do that in 2019. And these conversations with my employer have been all the way back to 2015.
Yeah.
They actually came to me. My direct boss came to me at the beginning of December and said, hey, you know, we follow what you're doing, and we don't want to hold you back if you're thinking about taking the next step. And I'm like, geez, I haven't talked to you about this. You know?
Yeah.
So we had a really long conversation about it because you know, it's a nerve-wracking thing to tell your employer you aren't going to make them your full-time priority anymore, right? So a couple weeks went by, and before I made the final decision, I said, okay, we have to sit down, ran this through HR, et cetera, et cetera. They told me I can't keep my salaried position, okay, but whatever hours I cannot contribute because I have to make mayor my full-time priority.
Mhm.
That's a commitment to the city.
Yeah.
That is what I'm doing. That might be 10 hours in my other role. And that's the reality of it. Now, why does that have to happen? We don't want career politicians in office, right? We want younger people involved with government.
Right.
Well, think about what that means. I don't have any time in the state system. I think it's 2 years for the 8 years I'll have in council. I'm not looking at a state retirement. So how does a young person, middle-aged, I'm not really young, middle-aged, rearrange, how do I take care of myself in the future if I want to be mayor for 4 years? I need something to go back to. I need my retirement investments, which are in a private fund held by a company, to remain. Okay? Those are all the things that a young person has to commit to if they want to make this type of full-time commitment to the city. And that's what I've done. That's what I'm doing. And the reality is, if it doesn't work out with my private sector career, mayor's my priority. Okay? I had to actually, this is why it's ridiculous that Bob's making a mockery of this, okay?
Yeah.
I just committed to putting my whole career on the line, even though I'm sidelining it, putting it aside, committing to mayor for the next 4 years if I'm elected. And then if I'm granted another term, if things are going well and I'm doing good for the city and I decide that there's more contributions to make, maybe another 4, but I'm 43. People have to have something to go back to, so I'm maintaining a presence so that I could still have my name in that business development organization.
Fair enough.
I find that interesting.
By the way, the company that you work for is not from China, are they?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Well, actually, it's global, so we're everywhere. We do have offices globally.
I'm just saying that'll be the next.
Yeah.
So you obviously explained the conversation that you had and what your intent is, but so you said it might be 10 hours. They're okay with you saying, look, 8 to 5, this is my job. Maybe I can give you 2 hours a night.
All right, so that right there is the problem, right? Everyone keeps trying to say, okay, what is full-time? What is part-time? Right now, I don't have set hours. Okay, so even right now, I'm not, quote, punching it at 9 and punching out at 5, which that's what my opponent and the other people in the race already have been telling everybody. How's Mike going to do this if he has to be in an office from 9 to 5? I don't. That's number one. And number two, they did commit to that. Now, here's the catch. This is the risk I'm taking, okay? All other 3 candidates have something to gain by running for mayor. I'm the candidate who has something to lose, and I'm willing to put that on the line for the city. If this doesn't work out, if I'm only, if I, like you said, 10 hours, if I don't get my job done, I still have to be subject to the same review. If that doesn't end up working out and they find somebody who's more suited for that position, then I have to just deal with that. I'm going to be the mayor.
Gotcha. And is the conversation that you had with them, like, has that started at this point? The change, the understanding that you can't
That started in 2015.
Gotcha.
In all seriousness.
So if I guess the point of my question
not
is...
because I was council president, because the council president could be mayor. That's what people aren't understanding. For the past 7 years, I've been running my life. I've been running my personal finances. I've been completely organizing my life around the fact that I do have the responsibility, even right now as I sit here today, to become the mayor. And I've already prepared for that. That was one of the first conversations I had when I flew to Texas before I ran for council president with HR. I said, guys, I'm running for council president. Great. We want civic involvement. We support people who are running for elected office, et cetera, et cetera. I said, here's the catch. I am in line to be the mayor. It has happened in the last 30
Tim
years.
Julian.
Okay,
I,
Tim
by
Julian.
the way,
And that's the reality of it.
I have a message from Rob Palmieri saying, over my dead body.
Yeah.
Well, actually, that would be the case. So
I hope that didn't come in, but I could see Rob making that joke. But in all seriousness, it's not just that. It's also if the mayor was to run for a different office, take a different position, have a
Understood.
life event. Yeah. So
All right.
I've been prepared for that. It's something I put in writing with my company. I don't commit to things unless I can fully do them, period.
Anything else you want to hit on? Those are really the issues that we wanted to tackle. Obviously, the fact that you recently were endorsed is a big deal. Manaski.
Lance is asking, if elected, will he maintain the current separation from the county if he believes the city is doing better having that separation, or will he look for Pacenti's approval with anything that he wants to do?
I think there could be a third option there.
Yeah, well, I was just going to say neither. And this came up in our first interview in January.
Should there be a relationship between the city and the
Absolutely,
county? Should you
have
work
to.
together?
The city is in the county. The county does have the seat in Utica. It's not a separation right now. It's an A-B polarized relationship, okay? And the relationship I will have, and I've already sat down with the current county executive, Tony Pacenti, who I expect will be the county executive again, right? And said, these are all the things we're looking at over the next 4 years. If I'm going to run for mayor, and this was even before I ran, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
When I commit to something, I check all the boxes before I do it, right? So I sat down and I asked him every single question. St. E's, Harbor, Downtown, Nexus, the unfinished pieces of the hospital project, different county projects, U District. I laid everything on the table and I said, let's talk about all these things and hash them out because we're not going to agree on all of them, but we have to work together on all of them. So we need to figure out, okay, here's the priorities of the city. Tony Pacenti, county executive, the county, the legislature, they're going to have priorities for the county. We have to sit at the same table and make those work. And as mayor, I'm going to make sure that those priorities are the 60-some-odd thousand people, depending on the census, living in the city of Utica. It's the voters, it's the residents, and as far as I'm concerned, the taxpayers as a whole. And I say that because a lot of people regard people who rent as not taxpayers. Guess what? They're taxpayers as
Sure.
well.
Yeah.
You represent the city. Period.
Okay. Mike Galimi, thank you. We appreciate it. We'll be speaking with your opponent coming up in a few minutes.
All right. Maybe we can have me on again. We'll talk budget at some point. I know you wanted to get to that, but I know time is short. It's all right.
We'll get there. But those two issues, I think, needed to be dealt with. So fair enough. Again, we appreciate your time. You'll be stomping the streets soon, getting signatures.
100%.
Yeah. All right.
It's a good time.
Mike Galimi, the Republican nominated candidate for mayor. News is next.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
This is a Fox News alert. She wants to be the first woman elected commander-in-chief. I'm Dave Anthony.
I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
The Republican just posted that video online announcing her White House run.
Joe Biden's record is abysmal.
And Haley hopes to defeat the president if he runs again as expected.
Republicans have lost the popular vote in 7 out of the last 8 presidential elections. That has to change.
two of those, Donald Trump was the GOP nominee, and Haley is the first to come out and challenge the former president who announced his campaign in November. Haley was the U.S. ambassador to the UN in the Trump administration, also a former South Carolina governor. They're mourning at Michigan State after a shooting spree last night left 3 people dead, 5 critically injured.
This is a day of shock and heartbreak here across our campus and our region.
Teresa Woodruff is Michigan State's interim president. There are still questions as to what motivated the gunman, identified only so far as a 43-year-old black male who had no affiliation with the school. His body was found off campus. Police say he shot himself.
Fox's Eben Brown. In about 2 hours, every senator will get a closed-door classified briefing on the still unidentified object shot out of the sky over Alaska, Canada, and Lake Huron.
We are laser focused on confirming their nature and purpose, including through intensive efforts to collect debris in the remote locations where they have fallen.
National Security Council spokesman John Kirby. Republicans complain the Biden administration has not been giving much information. Congressman Dan Crenshaw tells Fox,
The American public is just left to speculation, and I don't think that's very healthy.
The shootdowns come after the Chinese spy balloon taken down a week earlier. It's now over 37,000 dead in the earthquake devastation in Syria and Turkey. But amazingly, more survivors have been found. That's the sound as they rescued a 17-year-old from rubble. His older brother also saved an 18-year-old, also pulled out alive after being trapped for 8 days. America's listening to Fox News.
How far will the left go to win 2024? Will they send out more stimulus checks, pass more student loan bailouts, or give away trillions more to left-wing groups? The simple truth is they don't care if your retirement is eroded down to a fraction of its value. They just want to win. Hi, Stephen K. Bannon. I want to encourage you to diversify your 401k or IRA out of paper assets and into a physical gold IRA. And the only company I recommend for gold IRAs is conservative-owned Birch Gold Group. To learn more, text the word PROTECT to 989898 to get their free info kit on gold IRAs. Do this now before Democrats have a chance to legislate away your life savings. Get your free info kit on gold IRAs by texting PROTECT to the number 989898. There's nothing to buy and no obligation at all. So use your agency. Take action now. Text the word PROTECT to the number 989898.
All right, dealing with some sunshine, 33 degrees. Good morning. I'm Jeff Manaski. WIBX News Time is 8:03. This news update is brought to you by My Carl's. Shop My Carl's President's Day sale. Incredible savings, not to be missed. Free same-day delivery only at My Carl's Furniture in the New Hartford Shopping Center and now open in Destiny, USA. 5 members of the Amish community, including 3 young children under the age of 5, were all sent to the hospital after being ejected from their horse-drawn buggy in what authorities say was an accident caused by a drunk driver. That's according to New York State Police, who say a 2-year-old child was the most seriously injured, listed in critical condition after the crash on Powell Road in the town of Trenton. The other 4 injured included a 4-month-old child who suffered a facial laceration, a 3-year-old child who sustained a head laceration, along with 2 adults. Troopers say the buggy was struck by a pickup operated by 58-year-old Douglas Clark of Barneveld. After the collision overturned the buggy, ejecting all 5, troopers say he left the scene but did return a short time later. His charges include aggravated DWI for having a blood alcohol content of 0.21, along with leaving the scene of a personal injury accident, failure to exercise due care, leaving the scene of an accident involving an animal, and following too closely. Those were all appearance tickets. He is due to appear in court to answer the charges later this month. Utica police still searching for a suspect wanted in connection with a shooting incident in December. Officials say a warrant has been issued for the arrest of 44-year-old Sonny Breton. He potentially faces charges of attempted murder, accused of shooting a man on Oneida Street on December 14th. Anyone who knows his whereabouts is encouraged to contact Utica police. New Yorkers who have not changed their political party affiliation ahead of the upcoming June primary who want to are almost out of time. Today is your last day. You have until the end of the day today to submit necessary paperwork to the local Board of Elections office. The deadline to file through the Department of Motor Vehicles was yesterday, meaning all documents must be now handed over in person. This year's primary day is June 27th. A Grammy Award-winning country singer bringing her tour to Central New York and the Turning Stone Resort Casino's Event Center. Carly Pearce set to perform at the Event Center in Verona on April 21st. No opening act has been announced. Tickets go on sale this Friday morning through their box office or at Ticketmaster. Your WIBX Weather Center forecast calling for partly sunny skies for your afternoon today, a high reaching 43 degrees. Increasing clouds tonight with a low of 30. Cloudy skies early, gradually becoming sunny for Wednesday, a high of 55 degrees. Thursday, a chance of rain showers, otherwise mostly cloudy and a high in the mid to upper 50s. Friday, some rain showers early. Then we could see some snow showers for the afternoon, a high of 38. Saturday, mostly sunny, but high temps falling back down to the mid-30s. Right now, some sunshine, 33 degrees. WIBX News Time is 8:06.
All right, from the IBEW Local 43, we have some scores from last night. In the NHL, Senators over the Flames 4-3 in overtime. The Coyotes beat the Predators 4-2. Panthers 2-1 winners over the Wild with in a shootout. The Red Wings 6-1 over the Canucks, and the Kings beat the Sabres 5-2. Over to the NBA last night. The New York Knicks winning their fourth straight with a 124-106 win over the Nets. And let's see, coming up, I can tell you the Knicks will then it'll be the Devils playing the Blue Jackets tonight in the NHL. The Islanders host the Senators tonight on the schedule. Comets are on the road tomorrow night. Syracuse tonight taking on NC State. That's at a 7 p.m. game, and it is on which network?
The ACC network.
ACC network. Michigan State has canceled all athletic events following the shooting that happened yesterday. For the next 48 hours, no events, no athletic events will be going on campus. And the Chiefs return as Super Bowl champions to Kansas City. They return Monday with a Lombardi Trophy in hand after knocking off the Philadelphia Eagles in Arizona. Also in Major League Baseball, I believe spring training gets underway tomorrow. Pitchers and catchers reporting. Major League Baseball has announced it's keeping one of its experimental rule changes, and that is the ghost runner in extra innings. No word on whether or not that happens in playoff games. I don't have that, but it's definitely going on in the regular season. Your take on the ghost runner, you're okay with it.
I am okay with it. I just partially on the grounds that I understand why Major League Baseball is doing it. You know, I complained an awful lot about the field conditions for the Super Bowl, the fact that guys are running around slipping and falling. The kicker for Philadelphia rolled his ankle there on a kickoff. You know, the footing was terrible. And if there is a priority on player injury, preventing players from getting injured, I understand why baseball's doing this. First of all, you avoid a situation where you got an 18, 19, 25-inning game where you've used every pitcher in your bullpen. Also, you know, you got players out there in the middle of the night, literally. How many fans stay for these games that end at, 1:45? Right, I get that. How many fans even at home stay up to watch the end of those games because they have to work in the morning? I understand this. It is one game of 162. Both teams get to have the runner on second base. So I don't love it. I prefer old style, original kind of baseball, but I understand why they do it. I do not believe this is in place for the playoffs. But, I mean,
we also learned, we learned that when we spoke during Joe Time with Senator Griffo. We learned that he said that that's going to probably stick around, and now it's official. The other thing we learned when we spoke to him, if you recall, was about the computerized balls and strikes and how that's going to work. I was really surprised by that because I'm thinking no umpire, you've got some sort of a camera, and the computer makes a decision up on a screen. You're going to see strike, ball. But the way it will work is the computer does it all. The umpire cannot overrule the computer, and the umpire will have something in his ear to let him know whether it was a ball or strike. That's interesting. It keeps the game looking like it's the same, but that home plate umpire will not be making the calls once that goes into effect.
Yeah. So and to pat myself on the back, when I had pushed, I was one who I'm okay with this. To be honest with you, I'm not a supporter of human error, especially when it's balls and strikes. But I always thought like you could have almost like an Apple Watch that vibrates if it's a strike or doesn't if it's a ball. But an earpiece, would work the same. I also think with, they have all these LED lights all over the field. They have them on, along the fence lines by the dugout and everything. What you can have is, so the whole stadium knows at the same time if the ball crossed the plate or not. The LED lights light up green or they light up red for a ball. Green is a strike, red is a ball. And there's a lot of ways you can do it.
I'm not sure that's what it's going to be. I think
it's not.
You're still going to rely on the umpire.
Yes, the umpire is going to make the call.
Which I kind of like, and the fact that the umpire cannot overrule the computer. I guess if you're going to do it that way, I kind of like it. But, man, this is going to change the game of baseball. And you talk about this often, like you take a DeGrom versus another pitcher. So if that ball is just a little bit outside, you see some of those curveballs. It's like, I don't know, or his slider. I just don't know how that came back inside. Did it come back inside? And DeGrom tends to get the call, right? Because he was the greatest pitcher of the game at the time. But the umpire is not going to give that same call to somebody else. That goes away now. I think it puts a real great deal of pressure on those pitchers that love to work the corners. It's going to change the game a little bit.
There was, I believe it was Livan Hernandez. There was a game, let me see, 15 strikeouts. It was against the Atlanta Braves in the playoffs. This was probably about 25 years ago, and I can't remember the name of the umpire. 21 years ago, Livan Hernandez struck out 15 Braves in a 9-inning game. It was October 12, 1997. So actually, this was more than that, more years ago. If you go back and watch the Braves Hall of Fame lineup, taking pitches that are, I'm not kidding, 8 to 10 inches off the plate. I can't remember the umpire's name.
He's calling it a strike.
And he's
yeah,
right. And first of all, he's caught up in the moment. But there is no way that a team should lose a game. I'm not talking about one strike. I'm talking about probably half of those strikeouts were pitches that you couldn't hit with a bat if you reached out to get them. Does this matter in the scheme of things? Does baseball really matter? In compared to life? No, but it's our national pastime. Think of all the money that's spent on it. How much money would you spend to go a Mets playoff game and you're watching your players get called out 15 times on pitches that are in the other batter's box? Anyone to say that, I love the human error, well, when you see it at its worst, you realize why it needs to be addressed.
This happens all over, right? So I remember I was watching, it might have been a Section 3 wrestling tournament. And maybe it was a class tournament. I'm not going to mention names or anything like that. But, there are what we used to call a tilt. So you're on top, you're utilizing your legs, you basically you go back almost onto your back, and you take your opponent onto his back, and the referee counts back points, and all of a sudden that's 3 back points. And then this wrestler was he was a former state champion, I believe a 3-time state champion. And then, you get back, you reset, and then you take them over the other side, and you count off back points. Before you know it, you've technical, I forget exactly what it's called, but it's a technical victory because you have reached 15 points. It was the way it was when I wrestled. And I remember seeing all of a sudden this state champion got off balance when he came back to do what we call the tilt, and he came back. And somehow his opponent kind of positioned himself, and the state champ went on his back. Clearly was on his back. 1, 2, 3 seconds on his back. Now, that's clearly a pin. They didn't call the pin. And I remember overhearing a referee, no judgment here, I remember overhearing a referee say, he's a 3-time state champion. I'm not calling him for pinning himself. And that's how it ended. He went on and he won the tournament and probably became a 4-time state champion. But it's about reputation, right? A DeGrom. Of course that was a strike. Of course that came around and came back in. It's Jacob DeGrom. That all goes away here.
And you'll see it with, like a rookie hitter. His outside corner gets called against him.
Differently.
Right, where a future Hall of Famer doesn't get that call again.
Correct.
Is it a strike or isn't it a strike?
This is going to change the game of baseball, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it changes. And what does that do to a pitcher like Jacob DeGrom?
That's a good question.
Gotta wonder. 8:15. Coming up, Bob Cardillo is the Republican candidate for mayor. He did not receive the GOP nod, but he is challenging. A lot to talk about. He's made some challenges of his own, and we'll talk about that here in studio. He, of course, is facing Galimi, who was just on the air with us. 8:15 at WIBX.
Adirondack Home Furniture is fully stocked from wall to wall with top quality, durable, American-made pieces for any room. With over 40 bedroom and dining room pieces on display and quality sofas starting at $8.99, you're sure to find the pieces to transform your home. And don't forget, Adirondack Home Furniture has more than just rustic pieces. They carry a wide variety of modern, farmhouse, and traditional styles. If you're looking to transform your home or complete a room with a few pieces, now is the time to buy. Because at Adirondack Home Furniture, you'll save the amount of the sales tax. Save the amount of the sales tax on any purchase for your living room, bedroom, office, and occasional furniture. All solid wood and American made, including in-stock items, clearance items, and even special orders. Adirondack Home Furniture has the best value and top quality furniture for your home. Visit them at the former Riverside Mall, Horatio Street, Utica, or browse the inventory online at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com.
It's February. You know what that means. Love is in the air. That's right. Valentine's Day is Tuesday, February 14th, and the Old Wicker Mill is your one-stop shop for all your Valentine gifts. Valentine's Day is a day to express your love. This year, give a beautiful gift of distinction that will be enjoyed for years to come. Let's think out of the box. For your little Valentine, we have a fun toy department with Nido, Coco Melon, Bluey, and Minecraft toys. Maybe your Valentine loves gardening. The Old Wicker Mill has a huge garden department. There's Beekman Bath & Body, Lolita wine glasses, touch lamps, Nora Fleming, Dr. Squatch soap, a large women's clothing department. We're your Vera Bradley headquarters, and of course we have traditional Valentine's gifts, cards, candy, and all the top jewelry brands like Pandora, Brighton, Swarovski, Ella Stein, Uno de 50, E. Newton, and so much more. So this Valentine's Day, express your love to all your Valentines with something special from the Old Wicker Mill, located in the New Hartford Shopping Center, where everything we have is fun, functional, and affordable.
They say they'll get you your biggest tax refund. Jackson Hewitt says your biggest tax refund guaranteed, and a chance to double your tax refund. Thousands in weekly prizes during the Double Your Refund sweepstakes. Your biggest refund times 2, twice the money. So forget about them. File your taxes on the double at Jackson Hewitt today. No purchase necessary to enter to win. Open a U.S. residents 18 or older who file a 2022 federal tax return. Promotion ends April 2nd, 2023. Visit jacksonhewitt.com for rules.
Let's face it, credit cards are pretty much a necessity.
New tires for the car? Here's my card.
I order takeout, here's my card. And most of us just accept the high interest rates credit cards charge as a necessary evil.
What are you going to do?
Get a low fixed-rate credit card consolidation loan from Lightstream from $5,000 to $100,000 and pay off those credit card balances. Apply online, and you could get your money as soon as the day you apply. The average credit card company charges over 19% APR. But with Lightstream, you can get a fixed rate as low as 7.99% APR with autopay and excellent credit.
Now I can pay off my high-interest credit cards and save money with a much lower rate.
Apply today at lightstream.com/radio and get an additional interest rate discount. That's lightstream.com/radio. Lightstream.com/radio.
Subject to credit approval. Rates range from 7.99% APR to 23.99% APR and include a 0.5% autopay discount. Lowest rate requires excellent credit. Terms and conditions apply, and offers are subject to change without notice. Visit lightstream.com/radio for more information.
I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I love Navage. I've told you about how your nose is the body's air filter, that Navage's powered suction will help flush out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, and that Navage will help you breathe better. But what do other people say about Navage? Like Tara, quote, "My doctor wanted me to do saline rinses for my allergies, but I've never been able to successfully use a neti pot. Navage uses suction power, so it's foolproof. There are nights when I'll have particularly bothersome allergies. I'll bust it out, and the results are immediate. It's such a relief. It's become a lifesaver," unquote. She's one of over 100,000 online reviews praising Navage, the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million people to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, Target, Rite Aid, and online. Navage, Navage, clean nose, healthy life.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
As I've grown older, each year I've dropped holidays from my calendar that I don't think apply anymore. And this year, I'm proud to say that I dropped Valentine's Day. Yeah. Now, let's clear things up. I'm not saying we shouldn't have a holiday of love. Just not in February. It doesn't belong there. It does not belong there. And if you ladies want this holiday because it's your holiday, we're not going to even argue about that, are we? Because if you don't realize that men don't give a about it, and they don't, and if your husband is telling you that he does, then you have tortured him like some kind of prisoner of war.
That's Lewis Black, by the way, who's coming to the Stanley Theater. His show has been postponed. They're looking for a rescheduled date. I believe they were
mid-October. They're looking
at unforeseen circumstances. I don't know what that means. The other thing of note here, you'll notice that I didn't play that bit. I've been holding it all morning long. I waited until my wife got to work, and then I played it. So there we are. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Here we are. Bob Cardillo is running for mayor of Utica. He is the GOP challenger. Did not get the nomination of the party. And let's start with that. Do you want to talk about that? Your thoughts on why you didn't get the nomination?
Well, I don't necessarily know why I didn't get the nomination. Obviously, I didn't have enough proxies in the room. But I can tell you, I look at Brandon Williams. And Brandon Williams didn't get the nomination of this local party either.
Right.
And he did one heck of a job. So defeating somebody that he wasn't supposed to beat from Syracuse.
Yeah.
So, look, primaries are important because it gives the people the opportunity to decide who they want to represent their interests. So, I've been in primaries. I've in myself in a primary, or as when I was county chairman, we had primaries. So I think it's important.
There's been a lot of talk about this, and your point is spot on. You get some party leaders, they endorse a candidate, and then the people get to weigh in. Sometimes they agree, sometimes they disagree. Once the people weigh in, if it doesn't go in your favor, are you still in the race?
Well, that all depends. I mean, we're vying. There's a bunch of us vying for the conservative nomination. So I don't know what's going to happen with that, and I really can't make that determination until such time. Because if I was on the conservative line 11 years ago, and I got 18% of the vote, and so I can't determine that until such time.
No, do you feel though that's why a Democrat won the election?
No.
That's the fear that. Well, it's the fear that Galimi has. It's the fear that Gentile had yesterday. In fact, Gentile, when we spoke with him, said that played a big role in his vote when they voted for the nomination. That he felt that for the Republican Party, you should step down, and because clearly it'll split the vote, right?
Well, it has some influence over it, but I can also tell you this. And you well know because you were with me 11 years ago,
yep.
And we ran a heck of a campaign. And my opponent at the time, who was Mike Simonero, who won the primary, basically folded up the tent and thought he had already won. And he didn't really continue to campaign.
Right.
So I don't blame that on myself.
In fairness, I worked with you until the primary, and then I stepped aside. But it's a classic argument, though, right? We're not talking about something that is foreign here.
Absolutely. No, not at all.
Now, Galimi says that if he loses the primary, that he will step down.
Well, as I said, I can't make that determination until I know what's going on with the conservatives. So.
Let me ask you about the affidavit that you signed. I guess Galimi was saying there was a date mix-up. Yeah. Go ahead. You heard the interview with Galimi.
I heard it. Let's put it in perspective. It was a mistake on the date, okay? It was early in the morning when I signed it, and I looked at my calendar and put the wrong date. And Jim, who notarized it, didn't pay attention either. That's a mistake. That's not the issue. The issue is here. I'm saying to you and I'm saying to the public, not to him, I'm saying to the public that I will be a full-time mayor. I will have no other interest other than being mayor of Utica.
Okay.
And all I wanted Michael to do is to acknowledge that he will do that. Now, to say you're going to do it is one thing. To acknowledge that you're going to do it in writing is something else. And I did hear him keep saying, well, it might be 10 hours. Look it. You're either going to serve one master or you can't serve two masters. And that's essentially what I think he's trying to do. And more power to him if he thinks he can, but I don't believe the voting public wants somebody to be a part-time mayor.
Do you think it's clearly you don't think that it's unfair that he give up if he's been working on a career that he give up that career entirely? If he's committing to full time, and even mentioned that he couldn't work as a musician, he couldn't go out and do that sort of thing, which you also are a musician.
I'll give you a couple examples.
Okay.
Public service is a calling. And you go into public service because that's what you commit to do. Now, when I ran for mayor 11 years ago, as you well know, I was working for HUD. I left early. I could have stayed. I had a very big job with HUD.
Mm-hmm.
I left early because I came home and I ran for mayor, giving up a very big position.
Yeah.
So when I became county chairman, I was the regional director for Empire State Development. They asked me to be county chairman. I gave that position up because I wanted to be county chairman. I wanted to serve the party. So it's a calling. Either you want to do it or you don't. You can't hedge your bets. And I heard Michael say something about, well, I'm retired. Well, first of all, I think that's a pretty terrible thing to say because there's a lot of retirees in this community that give a lot back. And people retire from the police department at how old? And they continue
I don't think
to work.
I don't think he was criticizing, to be fair. I don't think he was criticizing retirees. He was saying, I'm not a retiree.
I shouldn't have to wait 20 years.
Right.
But the way I view it is that, well, I'm retired. Well, so what? That doesn't mean I can't contribute.
Well, he's saying the same thing. I'm not retired. I should be able to continue. And that was his point, that as young people, getting young people in, I don't want to defend Mike Galimi, but I do want to be clear in what he said. He wasn't criticizing seniors.
Well, I hope not. I certainly hope not, because look.
Would you agree with it? I mean, you were in the room.
Oh,
as well.
yeah. No, that was how I took it as well. That he's 43. Should I have to wait until I'm retired and out of the workforce in order to run?
No,
for
you don't
position
have to
like
wait,
mayor?
but you got to give up what you're doing.
So
it's not
you
a
feel
function. It's not a function of waiting. You got to give up what you're doing and commit this on not just on a full-time basis. This is your new career.
Yep.
You know, and that's what you're going into. And the comparison about being council president is not the same comparison at all.
When does he have to give up the job? Does he give it up while he's running?
No, he doesn't have to give it up while he's running. Look, I have clients. I mean, I still work. I have clients. My clients all know that on December 31st, they don't have me anymore. I'm done.
All right.
Comment. I'm just reading a comment that came in here. They call you Mr. Carrillo, Bob Cardillo. It definitely makes a difference about the date. If he and another did not notice the date when he signed it, what else?
Talking about the affidavit and how much is Jim Zecca involved in your campaign?
Jim's helping. Jim was a supporter. He's a ward chairman. He was a supporter. I don't always agree with Jim
and the Constitutional Caucus.
Right. I don't agree with Jim on everything, but darn, the guy's a hard worker, and he really has his heart in it.
Okay.
So,
do you think having Jim Zecca and the Constitutional Caucus, are they in your corner, if you will?
Well, they're supporting
they're working for his campaign.
Yeah. Do you think that hurts you? Because they don't have the greatest reputation.
I don't think it hurts me. First of all, the Republican Party should be a big tent. Okay. And those folks, by the way, again, I'll go back to Brandon Williams. One of the big reasons why Brandon Williams
won
not true. Is because they support him.
I don't mean to challenge you on that, but that's not true.
Well, they did support him.
They did support him, but there was a point in the beginning of the campaign where Brandon Williams was really accepting of the Constitutional Party. He kind of distanced himself from that about midway through the campaign. I know that to be true.
Well, all right, that's fine.
Because you were, because of the reputation. And, Brandon Williams was showing up at, events with the Constitutional Caucus. That all ended about midway through the campaign when he realized it might not be the right way to go. So to say that they had anything to do with his being elected and winning that race, they voted for him.
Yeah.
That's as far as I would go.
Okay. All right, well, that's fine.
I watched that very carefully.
Okay. No.
So.
Okay.
All right. What else do you have, Jeff?
This comment just came in. Can you ask the point that he was trying to make about bringing up the number of people that abstained from the Republican endorsement? Some abstained, some didn't want to vote.
Yeah, some people abstained. A lot of people abstained because they felt that it should just go to a primary and not have any recommendation. Because really, it's a recommendation, basically. And a lot of the people that were there suggested that we not have any recommendation and we just go to the primary.
Well, those would be people. So you got people that support you.
Yes.
People that support Galimi, and then those in the middle. But
Right.
at the end of the day, Galimi still had more that
Yeah,
supported
but
him.
a lot of the people that supported me abstained because of that, because they had asked.
So they
the
would rather
chair-
see Galimi?
They had asked the chair if they would take a vote to not have a recommendation and just go to a primary.
Okay.
So, which is why they abstained. And again, I don't think, truthfully, I still think it's up to the people. Let the people decide what they want.
You have a primary.
Not some closed group of people.
And it's a long way to.
Absolutely, till
It's
June.
a short way to June.
Yeah, it's short, yeah, but
it's
is
a long way to June. Yeah, you can look at it both ways.
I think this person's got some inside knowledge. They said about 10% abstained. It wouldn't have been enough, basically. I think their point is it wouldn't have been enough to swing the vote in your favor. Do you agree with that? Is that accurate?
It might be. It does. Again, I'm going to keep telling you, it doesn't matter. I'm running in the primary. I said on November 10th that I was running and I was staying in it. And I keep talking about issues.
Yeah, so
you know that. I keep talking about issues.
Let's transition
and
to
that's
that.
what I think's important.
What does the city need to improve on? What is not being done? What makes you, aside from your background, I know that matters, and we've talked about that before, but can you identify issues in the city that you would tackle if you took office today?
Well, I think I've said this before, and I think one of the first issues that we have to deal with is crime. And we have to deal with crime not just on a MAGA level. We have to deal with it in the neighborhoods, because I think that's where it begins. And I think I've said before that we need to get all of law enforcement, the city, the county, the state, our fire department, our DA, and all of the other local first responders. We also need to involve people within those communities in West Utica, in East Utica, South, wherever the communities are. We need to have local people. We need to engage with our kids, because a lot of this stems from, their gangs and things of that nature that are problematic. We do have to address mental health issues, and I think the city needs to be engaged in all of that, and that's why I talk about this task force that I would like to create, and have a task force in each and every one of these local communities.
Let's talk more about that task force. What would the mental health issue, how does the task force address the mental health issue and the gang issues?
Well, I think, first of all, it's a recognition of the fact that it exists. You can't shy away from things. You have to recognize, hey, it exists, and how can we deal with it? How can we work with this and make people feel comfortable in their neighborhoods? How can we address getting all of these folks together and having them have a comfort level when they're all speaking with each other?
I have anything you want to go further on that?
A comment that just came in. I got another listener. Cardillo said he left HUD, or did HUD leave him? Because of the Hatch Act, you can't actually run for office being a federal employee. There's a comment that came in.
Well, first of all, the person doesn't know what they're talking about. I retired. I didn't have to, but I left early and came home.
Rick says,
boy, these comments just keep coming in.
Man,
Holy cow.
You're getting hit hard here with questions and
Good.
comments.
That's okay. I don't. That's what you're going to run for office for.
Rick says, if you don't think people should rely on party endorsements, why did you seek the party endorsement?
Well, because they're Republicans, and those are my values. Just like I said, I'm going to seek the conservative nomination.
Okay.
So, why wouldn't I do that? I know 11 years ago, my opponent didn't even bother to come to the nomination because he knew he wasn't going to get it.
Right.
Well, and he knew he was going to run in a primary.
Right,
So this is
right.
the reverse of 11 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
Another comment coming in, I believe, from South Utica. We did touch on this the last time you were on the program, I believe, but can you outline your plan for what you'd like to see done with St. Elizabeth?
Yes, I had a very important press release on St. Elizabeth. That, as you well know, I came and discussed it. I think, first of all, it has to be, the neighborhood has to be included in any decision that's made. That's number one. Number two, I don't believe that we need to tear that entire structure down. I firmly believe that we have some opportunity with historic tax credits, working with SHPO, being able to take advantage of some of the funding that might be out there for that. I think it could be a really good opportunity for mixed use, not, and I say this again, not low-income housing. Maybe senior housing, but not low income, because the neighborhood is such that I think you could develop something that could be a good area for that local community with maybe some shops or condominiums, a mixture, mixed use. So I think there's a lot of, it's 20 or 23 acre parcel of land that could be a really nice mainstay for not just for South Utica, but for the entire.
And this is not a. This is just a This is more of a philosophical question, I guess. And it's not directed at you because we've heard it from the hospital, we've heard it from your opponents, we've heard it from you. Specifically, not low-income housing. How is that not offensive? I mean, as a society, and I get it. I do understand. I completely understand. But when we say it, I'd like your answer, and I'll ask everybody else this question as well. How does that not philosophically become offensive?
Well, maybe it is offensive.
We don't want those people living in this neighborhood.
I understand that, but here's the issue. The issue is you've got residents in that neighborhood that are pretty high taxpayers.
Mm-hmm.
I lived there. I lived on Douglas Crescent.
Yeah.
So that's a high rent district. That's a high tax neighborhood. Unfortunately, a lot of things go awry when you have low-income housing that's not managed properly. I will say one thing. The Municipal Housing Authority, and full disclosure, of which I was a consultant for the MHA, Bob Kelly and those folks at the MHA do a fantastic job running those projects. They do a fantastic job. Matter of fact, there's a new one going up on Mohawk and Broad. They're redoing Chancellor. But some of the other projects that are low income are not run by the MHA. And one that's a perfect example is Globe Mill. Globe Mill is a gorgeous project.
Yeah.
What they did, those apartments are fabulous at Globe Mill. The problem is they're being run down now because they're terribly mismanaged.
Okay.
And again, maybe this is a broad brush, but somebody commenting here, even low-income housing asks that they don't put in low-income housing next door. You usually see an increase in crime.
I'm not. I understand.
Bill,
I completely understand.
It's a fair question. It's a fair question.
I imagine if next to my home all of a sudden there was a low-income housing high-rise being put up or what have you, we would probably have an issue with that. But as a society, I just wonder we should at least consider that a little bit. Just a thought, that's all. And this is not critical of you.
No, I understand.
Because everyone has said it. We're all saying it. Yeah. I just think, are we hearing ourselves when we're saying it?
I mean, there was a
or does it become one of those things that we don't say out loud, but we all know it's true?
There was a brouhaha over Kelberman.
Right, for the same type of
reason.
And that's by the way, I got a tour of Stefan's apartment there. I was supposed to send you and Andrew a picture and Davey, but I think that's is that in the low income category?
Well, it's mixed.
It's mixed. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It was a nice little place, and it seemed to be well taken care of.
Right.
That's a big part of it.
I've got about 3 minutes or so, but I do want to get into a little bit of the school board because that's your record right now. I mean, the school board is your record. We asked you the first time when the vote came up to put the superintendent on paid leave. You voted against it. The second time it came up, this last time it came up, you voted for it. And so did the other members who voted against it, except I believe one abstained, if I'm correct, or was not present. Anyway, now some of the complaint from the people who have made charges against Bruce Karam have been made public. it's pretty bad. I mean, at least if it's true, has that played a role? And if that's Bruce Karam, do you still support him?
Look, there's two separate issues here. The first issue is when we voted against.
You voted against putting him
on paid leave. It was because it was a breach of contract. His contract read pretty clear. There were certain steps that needed to be taken.
Okay.
So it was a breach of contract. Okay. In my copious free time, I went to law school, and I believed it was.
And that's why you voted no.
That's why I voted no. That as we're going through this process, we voted yes because now it's getting to the point where it's starting, hopefully, to come to some resolution.
Okay.
And as far as supporting Bruce Karam, there's two sides to every story.
I know there are two sides.
And we haven't heard the other side. Okay?
Understood. Well, he's actually countersuing, and he's spoken as
exactly.
well.
And that's why I got to stay
away
from him.
You've heard two sides. He's saying that he was treated improperly, and now the other side is coming out, because I think he's the one that spoke first, but and gave his version first. Mm-hmm. And now you have these people making complaints. My question, though, is specific. If that is Bruce Karam, what is being described by those administrators, if that is true, should he be superintendent?
If, and there's a big if there, okay? If all of these allegations are true, and there is no justification for some of the other stuff that's gone on back and forth, I'd be hard-pressed to say I'd support him. But I will tell you this. Here's a guy who's been superintendent for 11 years. You never heard anything like this. All of a sudden, we got a new board, and all this stuff came about. I haven't been around for 11 years.
Right.
So you're talking about a man who's had a 30-year history in this district and moved up through the ranks as an assistant principal, in the administration, superintendent. You've never heard anything like this. Now, all of a sudden, now we're hearing all this stuff.
Then I would, seeing you're going there, I'm going to go here. If it's true, what does that say about you and that old board? If it's true,
you're saying it's been 11 years.
The question is, though, but if it's true and it's been going on, it was on your watch. If it's true, so you could look at it both ways.
But when do we say it was going on? There's no
I don't
dates.
know.
There's no detail in any of this stuff.
But it sounds like you're defending him here.
Well, no, I'm defending the process.
Okay. The question was specifically, if it turns out to be true, you would not support him.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right.
Quick follow-up, and this is also in regard to the school board. Regarding the issues that you raised this morning about school and gangs that we talked about, you've been on the school board. Have you advocated for those students and the safety of schools? You've been on the school board. What have you done to address that as a school board member?
Yes, I've advocated safety in our schools.
What have you done to address the we just talked about violence, the gang members, and the mental health situations? What have you done on the school board to address?
Well, we've increased. I voted for the budgets that have increased the number of people that we've hired in the area of mental health for our schools. Increased the number of social workers in our schools. That's what we can do as board members.
Also,
primarily from a budgetary point.
And I was going to ask you just to follow up on that. What you're proud of with your time on the school board?
Well, first of all, I'm proud of the fact that we haven't had a tax increase in our school district since I've been on that board. And I'm also proud of the fact that we accomplished being able to get the CTE program together, which I think is going to be a tremendous asset for bringing our kids back on campus.
Okay.
Is there any use for St. E's when it's no longer a hospital as a second home for Proctor High School? I haven't heard that one yet.
No, I haven't heard that.
First of all, to get another high school, from what I understand, is a whole big issue.
Didn't we just, like a decade and a half ago, consolidate?
Yes.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything further? Because I want to move on. I'm going to tell you, when you come in, you light up the phones and
my phone's about to die from all the text messages I
that's
got.
one thing that you do. So there's activity around your campaign. You should at least be very proud of that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very proud.
All
I'm
right.
very proud of the people that are helping us, too.
Okay, fair enough. Bob Cardillo, thank you. We'll do this again.
Thank you.
I'll break. Coming up, I want to get into, we have the Monjos from River Hills Properties. I want to get into, you're talking about increase in interest rates. What is that about to do to our real estate market? A lot of talk about that.
Can I say something before we
You
go?
certainly can.
Happy Valentine's Day to all the mothers and grandmothers and people in love. And I would say happy Valentine's Day to my grandson.
All right. I don't think you have any daughters.
No, I don't.
You skipped daughters.
Yeah,
I have a daughter.
Daughters. I'm sorry. Yes,
daughters as well.
Well, I have surrogate.
You have daughters
like
in law.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
daughters.
There,
in law.
there you go. Fair enough, Bob. Thank you. We'll break and come back 8:45 at WIBX.
From screen printing and embroidery to promotional products and online shops, it's all under one new roof at Max's Print Shop in Marcy. Order anytime and any quantity in person or online at maxsprintshop.com. Since 1978, we pride ourselves on personally meeting every customer's need. We can take your project from design to production. And remember, Max's Print Shop will stitch anything. And we mean anything in the Utica-Rome area. Find us at 9555 River Road in Marcy or online at maxsprintshop.com.
Every day at NBT Bank, we focus our business around all the ways we can help yours. We're large enough to offer leading business and digital solutions, but local enough to ensure personalized one-on-one service. So turn to NBT Bank for a full range of business solutions, like capital and treasury management services, even fraud protection, and see how NBT Bank is just the right size to help you do big things. Visit nbtbank.com to learn more and start a conversation. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
We invest in Herkimer and Oneida counties. We work with the community to make things better for old and young alike. Today, tomorrow, and in the years to come. Every day, we put the community's long-term savings to work. Who are we? We are the Community Foundation of Herkimer and Oneida counties. FoundationHOC.org. We're your community foundation, working to build a vibrant region with opportunity for all.
Adirondack Home Furniture is fully stocked from wall to wall with top quality, durable, American-made pieces for any room. With over 40 bedroom and dining room pieces on display and quality sofas starting at $8.99, you're sure to find the pieces to transform your home. And don't forget, Adirondack Home Furniture has more than just rustic pieces. They carry a wide variety of modern, farmhouse, and traditional styles. If you're looking to transform your home or complete a room with a few pieces, now is the time to buy. Because at Adirondack Home Furniture, you'll save the amount of the sales tax. Save the amount of the sales tax on any purchase for your living room, bedroom, office, and occasional furniture. All solid wood and American made, including in-stock items, clearance items, and even special orders. Adirondack Home Furniture has the best value and top quality furniture for your home. Visit them at the former Riverside Mall, Horatio Street, Utica, or browse the inventory online at AdirondackHomeFurniture.com.
Home and Hospital Medical Supply in the new Hartford Shopping Center proudly carries a wide selection of home medical equipment. Lift chairs to buy or rent, canes, crutches, walkers, powered scooters, braces, foot care products, and so much more. And if for some reason they don't carry the product you need, they'll custom order it at no extra charge. Mary and her experienced team are there to assist you Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, or call them at 315-724-6767. Home and Hospital Medical Supplies. We make life easier.
If I could be you.
And you could be me for just 1 hour.
If you could find a way
to get inside each other's mind.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
We've all felt left out. And for some, that feeling lasts more than a moment. We can change that. Learn how at belongingbeginswithus.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
Walk a mile in my shoes.
Listen, I walk a mile in my shoes around my parlor and our den where the new hardwood floors from Sarah's have been installed. And they are beautiful. We're talking about craftsmanship, not somebody just coming in and throwing down a floor. It's craftsmanship. We're talking about Sarah's Flooring Outlet, the area's largest leading flooring store for Pergo Extreme by Mohawk, hardwoods, carpets, linoleum, whatever it is you're looking for in flooring. And there are a lot of new opportunities out there. They have it, and they are ready to service you. We had Sarah's in our home, and they did an incredible job. You can go to their website and get a $50 off coupon for your next purchase of $500 or more. It's sarahsflooringoutlet.com. Or get 6 month, and Get 6 months interest-free financing right now. And there's a sale going on for Pergo Extreme by Mohawk, and they also have the lowest price guarantee on Pergo Extreme. They'll match or beat anybody's Pergo Extreme price within a 60-mile radius of the store. It's a great product. It's a great company. They do an incredible job. Sal and his people really work to satisfy you. If you're thinking flooring, it's in Sarah's Flooring Outlet, Route 49 Plaza, River Road, Marcy. Here's the website, insarahsflooringoutlet.com.
WIBX 950 and 106.9 FM. This is Keeler.
It's Valentine's Day. Robin Monjo, pull that and tilt that a little bit towards you a little bit there. Robin from River Hills Properties. Bill Monjo, good morning.
Good morning.
You're right on the mic. I like that. But I would say to Robin, happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. And I just absolutely just noticed that we are very festive for Valentine's Day today.
Yes, I see you're both.
Even Manaski wore red today.
Come on, man.
In
right?
red. I believe blue is the new color, personally, for Valentine's Day.
For singles, it is.
Let's get right into this.
That's good.
River Hills Property, or those who are going to end up being single if they're not careful. Let's get right into it. Let's talk about the interest rates. We were, prior to COVID, let's think about COVID and real estate and everything how things became so complicated. And now we're dealing with higher interest rates, inflation, et cetera, et cetera. What is this doing to a once very hot real estate market?
Well, it's still very hot, Bill. To be honest with you, the interest rates are a fact of life. They're between 6 and 6.5% right now. But our counterbalance to that is we have people moving to the area daily for the new jobs that we have here. We've talked about it. You've been very supportive of all this, you and Jeff. But we have people coming every single day. We're in the dead of winter. We have people calling us up looking for housing. And here's the great news. We're in our own little positive bubble in the Mohawk Valley. We don't have enough houses for the people coming. When you look online, Robin and I talk constantly about, 2 houses got listed for the whole area yesterday. And that's the same as the day before. We just don't have the new houses. So the prices, the interest rates have done one thing to us, though. They have put an artificial cap on the growth of the value of your home. Because when people buy a home, they don't go in and say, I want to buy a $100,000 home. They say, I make $30,000 a year. What can I afford?
Right.
So what has happened is that's put a big cap on it. So we're hoping for this to come down with time, but it's still a wonderful interest rate if you look at the bigger picture. If you look at a snapshot over the last 5 years, it looks terrible. But if you look at the video over the last 20 years, it's still low.
Or even the last 30 years
yes,
or
sir.
40 years. God, imagine what they were paying in the 70s.
Well, I do know because I bought a house and I was like on a credit card. It was 15%.
Wow. But we could not even conceive that right now.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But the market is still very strong. We're seeing houses get sold immediately upon listing, and people are absolutely coming to our lovely area. So it's very, very good. And just a little tagline to this. If you're thinking about selling your house come the springtime, that's kind of a wonderful model that's worked for years and years and years. But just remember that right now we have no inventory. In the springtime, our inventory grows, and there's competition for you to sell your house. I'm absolutely convinced that right now, because of the lack of inventory, you'll get more for your home than you will when the onrush of spring listings come.
Robin, you've always talked about this wintertime, selling your home in the wintertime. Everyone thinks it can't be done.
Oh, yeah.
But if you're one of the few houses that is new to the market in the wintertime, just as Bill's saying,
you're looking good.
There's
bro.
a spotlight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I tell when I work with buyers, I tell them, I said, when you buy houses in the summertime, and I do this when sellers are listing, I say, look, go spend $150 and buy flowers and make them look pretty. It takes the spotlight off any disadvantages to the house, right? So yeah, in the wintertime, if you're a buyer, it's perfect time because you're going to see the stalactites hanging off the edge, and if there's a problem, you're going to probably see it. But when you're buying a house, let's never take our eye off of the quality of life that you want to lead. We can always look ahead and will it be better next month? Will it be better next year? We don't know. All we know is today. And if it's the right decision for your family, if you need a bigger house, if you want to live a different quality of life, then don't ever put those on hold.
Yeah.
It's the quality of life that you have to look
It is the
at.
one investment that that you can pretty much count on is going to remain valuable and grow in value as the years go on.
It's true.
Right.
And there's also, you may have been living in your house for quite a long time and you're unsure of the value. There's a service that called a comparative market analysis.
Yeah, that any River Hills agent can offer. And what they can do is, number one, they can certainly give you a value for your home so you know what you're working with, whether you want to upgrade, move, whatever, cash in.
And there's no cost to that.
And there's no cost to that, yeah. And also, another great reason to call one of our agents in is to, let's face it, when you put your house on the market, a finished product is always going to get more attention and get what the market will bear, right? So if you've got upgraded bathrooms and kitchens, before you go dropping that kind of money, again, call a River Hills agent and we can give you some great advice as to, perhaps some finishes or what should be addressed.
What about the city of Rome? For the longest time, we've heard about many opportunities in Rome. I'll start with you on this one, Robin.
So go Mayor Jackie, Jeepers Creepers. That town is rocking. I mean, we've been in this business for more than a couple of years, and we've seen the ebb and flow of housing sales in any of our cities and villages. But she is rocking it out in Rome. I mean, it is the real estate there has exploded in all parts of the city. We're proud to have a presence there. But the housing values there have just gone up, continue to go up. It's wonderful.
And I'd like to add just one thing to that and along for the rest of the Mohawk Valley. 5 years ago, the average price of a house here, when you sold it, average price was $107,000. The average price now is very close to $165,000. That is a monumental move. And it's fabulous. Now, as it pertains to people moving in, guess what? The national price for a house is $480,000. Think about that.
Yeah.
We are like a half price sale.
It's still a great value.
It's a fabulous value.
If we could just pick our homes up and move them to another part of the country, it'd be worth the move. I think you'd be worth the move.
Bill, your new floors from Encera would be worth $1 million in Westchester.
Right. Think about that.
True story.
All right, final question, and I want to put you guys both on the hot seat here. If either one of you decides to run for public office, will you quit your current jobs? I think we need to know. I think I have an affidavit here for you to sign. I'm not, obviously I'm kidding. But
please.
The reality is the real estate market, despite the interest rates, when you look long term, it is, we're still in a much better place than we were.
We are. The houses are selling and people are happy. And
are we in that? I have less than a minute quickly on this answer. You talk about the new people moving here. One of the problems we have is if we do add 1,000 jobs in Marcy, where do we put all these people?
It's a great question.
The question of the day.
It is the question of the day. As you know, you probably have heard the people that run Wolf Speed, they said that they need 100 new houses just for them. So the builders are going to have to come back to our area. We have builders here, but everybody's kind of watching things happen.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Rome, but talk about the apartments on Rome. Bonaccios.
So but the Bonaccio firm put up God, I forget 5 or 6 buildings there. Now we went round through the other day,
and we're going to be talking to Jackie about that.
And they're all
up.
rented, and they're wonderful.
River Hills Properties. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank you very much.
The best in 2023.
Amen, brother.
All right. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
From the Stanley Theater Studio, WIBX 950 Utica Rome, W295DI Utica Rome, your news, talk, and sports leader, a Town Square media station.
And less inflation. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. Depends on how you measure it.
The Consumer Price Index rose 0.5% last month. It was up 6.4% in the year ending in January.
That's Fox's Ginny Casola. The annual increase was slightly less than December's year-over-year number of 6.5%, continuing a trend of slightly tamer inflation after Federal Reserve interest rate hikes. Donald Trump has a challenger now in the Republican race for president. Nikki Haley posted a video announcing she's running.
The Washington establishment has failed us over and over and over again. It's time for a new generation of leadership.
Haley was the U.S. ambassador to the UN during the Trump administration. Before that, she was South Carolina's governor. We just got an update on last night's shooting at Michigan State University.
All 3 deceased were MSU students. We can also confirm at this time that all 5 of the injured victims at the hospital were also MSU students.
Deputy Campus Police Chief Chris Rosman says they're all in critical condition. And Dr. Denny Martin got emotional.
Didn't get a lot of sleep last night, sorry.
Talking about their treatment at a hospital.
People that just came in.
The killer was found dead off campus hours after the shootings. He had shot himself. They don't know the 43-year-old's motive. He has no connections to Michigan State. The full Senate gets a classified briefing next hour on the 3 objects shot down in recent days over Alaska, Canada, and Lake Huron. Still unidentified. Republican Senator Eric Schmidt tells Fox,
the American people deserve answers, and we better turn our attention very quickly to the real serious threat we have across the Pacific, which is China.
We do know what was shot down a week earlier was a Chinese spy balloon, and Japan's defense ministry just said it strongly suspects Chinese surveillance balloons have been over its territory since 2019 at least 3 times. America's listening to Fox News.
It's February. You know what that means. Love is in the air. That's right. Valentine's Day is Tuesday, February 14th, and the Old Wicker Mill is your one-stop shop for all your Valentine gifts. Valentine's Day is a day to express your love. This year, give a beautiful gift of distinction that will be enjoyed for years to come. Let's think out of the box. For your little Valentine, we have a fun toy department with Nido, Coco Melon, Bluey, and Minecraft toys. Maybe your Valentine loves gardening. The Old Wicker Mill has a huge garden department. There's Beekman Bath & Body, Lolita wine glasses, touch lamps, Nora Fleming, Dr.